Salam, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Adab. This past year, I had the opportunity of sitting down with some remarkable people. Each conversation stayed with me for different reasons. Some challenged how I think about leadership, some reshaped how I think about work, purpose, resilience. Some reminded me how systems and human courage quietly shape the world around us. What you're about to see is a snapshot of 12 such conversations. If any of these spark your curiosity, I encourage you to explore the full episodes. Each one goes far deeper than what the short clip can capture. Also, if you haven't subscribed, hey, give it a go. All you need to do is just subscribe to Talk with Kunal Vasudeva. It means the world to us and my crew who are really putting in all the effort. Stay blessed always. My conversation with Matthew Pohlman stayed with me because of how clearly he thinks about institutions, trust, long-term credibility. He operates inside some of the most complex real estate and hospitality transactions in the world. What struck me, how disciplined our great institutions are about governance, reputation, consistency of decision making. Success at that level does not come from speed alone. It comes from patience, it comes from alignment, and deep respect for process. If you're building that something needs to last, this gives you a powerful lens into scale and into credibility.
I think that I was probably more tilted towards the serious side of life. There's probably a number of reasons why that is. Was quite competitive growing up, and the outlets for that competitive nature became sport. So that was an arena that I guess I found comfort in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty much, we were born in the same era, right? Of the 70s, right? I was born here in India, in Mumbai. You were in the US at that point in time. Take us back to the fact, how was it in the 70s and the 80s?
Provide and to create, environments for us to succeed.
And did you do it single-handedly?
He had support in different ways that took the edges off. I think there was a reason that I was in so many different sports. It was a way to fill the time after school. So spending a lot of time playing football, basketball, baseball, golf, tennis, whatever it would be to fill the time and put me into environments where I was getting some direction from others. Those were quite formative years.
17 years? How many years?
It's been 18. Because we got about 3 months in, and Brian says,
So Emily was born in the US.
Yeah.
When she was a toddler and an infant.
7 weeks.
Yeah, 7 weeks?
7 weeks old.
So does she have the British accent?
Yes.
Oh,
It's really interesting.
So you say water and she said water? Seriously?
Yes.
Yeah?
I wish I could marry her.
Inni.
Yes. And mom and not mom, and there's all these little things with both of the kids.
Both the kids?
Both the kids. A little more so Emily. And if Jody was sitting here, she sounds a lot like me. We're both West Coast.
So garage and garage, all those things.
They talk about lifts, not elevators.
Waste paper basket, waste paper big,
So very different.
sidewalk, pavement.
At the time, had no London office.
Oh.
They had offices everywhere else,
But not in London.
but not in London. They said to Brian, and indirectly then me, we know we want to be in London as a firm.
You're already in London.
So why don't you go ahead and start a small little office for us and give us as a firm a chance to think through a larger London strategy. And Brian and I'm a big fan of this because I have great memories of my time at Goodwin in Boston. And so in the fall of 2008, Goodwin London opened its doors quite humbly, I would say, led by Brian.
Was it fate? Was it destiny? Or was it just, in a capitalistic words, something falls apart, but something comes up as well.
Well,
How do you process it?
yeah, I look at it as, for me, day in and day out, that it's and much more of a mental clarity process and a chance just to reset.
But does it, for me, it's taken a little toll on my knees right now. I don't know why, right? Maybe some deficiency here and there. Are you fully physically fit to do another, like a half marathon? You have all your body parts working and coherently, I would say?
Yeah, and so there's, I mean, the last big adventure was in the Alps over the summer, and that has kind of, whetted my appetite to explore this idea of endurance a bit further. For the time being, the bodies, I got everything out of them.
You know what I have done to switch?
Tell me.
Spin cycling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
No impact.
No impact.
You can just go.
Absolutely.
So you adapt, right?
And especially because over here in India, you don't have the Peloton bike, you have the Indian bikes. But the Peloton has some amazing apps. You can actually connect with spin cyclists all over the world in real time.
Super.
And you're competing.
Super.
And last Sunday, I did one race, and this is the Indian audience. A particular app that I kind of use. And it's not live, but you get the scoreboard of people who have done the course prior to you. I think it was about 140 riders. And I think I was like 7th or 8th.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
But when you're 100 and when you're passing this world and someone had to speak at your eulogy, what do you think they would say?
I'll let others make that determination. I hope they saw in someone that they could rely on, that they could trust, and that provide a degree of candor and honesty in their dealings.
I know you now for 3 months. And if I had to say it at that point in time, I said, that's Matthew Pohlman, Emily, Lauren, father.
Oh, what can I say about Akash Ohri's podcast? Akash brought a very different energy. We spoke about luxury, leadership, and how brands shape aspirations in India. What stayed with me was how deeply leadership influences culture, taste, customer experiences. Luxury is not a decoration. It is a point of view that flows from leadership into every detail of execution. So if you care about building brands that command respect, that commands loyalty, this conversation sharpens on how you think about leadership, presence, and consumer trust.
Akash, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. What I spoke as the last Hindi shairi, does it describe you?
Kunal, thank you first for having me on the show. No, you've been very kind. I don't think I deserve all of that. I've been part of the system, but very fortunate to be part of this system. Very fortunate to learn very early in my life. And the most important thing that one picked up, both from Chairman Emeritus Mr. KP Singh and Mr. Rajiv Singh, was that, look, customers' interest will always prevail. And that were my early learnings.
I want to go back into your childhood. This is where I want to really start with, right? We talk about DLF much later. I believe you have antecedents in Calcutta, something to do with Kanpur, something to do with polo, something to do with golf. I want to know, where did it all start? Were you driven? What was your family like? And let's see where this goes.
Oh, great. Thanks. I was born in Calcutta. Do roots there because both my paternal and maternal grandfathers retired out of Calcutta. They were both very senior government people. And so one was heading coal, one was heading State Bank of India. And then, of course, the family stayed back, moved out. Every summer vacation Calcutta was home, right? And every summer vacations, you'd go back and
To the paternal and all the maternal.
and those were the memories. You didn't want to go anywhere else because everybody would converge there, and those were the formative and early years. But I think they formed me. And then Bhopal happened. That was also quite a good experience. And then, of course, lovely anecdotes. So, Saif Patodi used to be in the same school as me in Bhopal, Bal Bhavan. And not that we knew each other then, but he was a year senior. But, once in Delhi, he was shooting here and he came to the golf club and we started to chat about school.
Influences, personal influences, professional influences, we talk about, and there's, of course, the family here. But personal influences, and let's just talk about a little bit about your wife and your children, and how do they keep you grounded every day?
Oh, they keep me grounded every day, every hour. Trust me, that's a great leveler. Okay. So first, let me answer the question of who my influences were. My influences were my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, who I spent a lot of time with. He was a disciplinarian, a wonderful human being, a man with a very large heart, and so was my grandmother, my paternal grandmother. For what I learned from her and saw her operate, her house was like an open house. People would come, go, enjoy. She'd always be there for people.
And you pretty much laddered up at DLF in the last decade or so, right?
More than that.
Yeah.
Just this morning, somebody asked me in the lift, says, how long have it been? So 27 years. But as I said, every third, fourth, every fourth year, every fifth.
Take us through that evolution, and then we kind of move into the next segment.
Started with golf. In fact, even before, I remember when after Sterling, I got to DLF. But that 1 month, 3 weeks, Mr. KP Singh was traveling. So golf, you could not really be included in the golf team till he approved of anybody, even if it is the junior most. And I'd said it in the podcast.
Look back at that 27 years, right? From an outside-in perspective, and let's say somebody who has not experienced DLF, let's say someone in Bangalore, someone in Bombay, they've heard about it, they know they still say it's a real estate company. I look at it and I say, no, actually it's not a real estate company. It's not even a hospitality company. DLF is a way of life, right? Can you unpeel this for me? What is this way of life?
It's the DLF is a daily experience. Okay, I've said it. The day I took over the sales, I said it to my teams. We don't sell homes. We don't sell per square foot.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We don't even sell.
You're well-traveled, right? You look at the world from a real estate perspective, let's put it this way. I look at it from a very different perspective. Do you find any comparable like this? As in, with this vision and that empathy-led and that obsession of customer centricity?
I've met a lot of people. I don't see a very potent mix of all of that you've said. I don't see it in one group and all that. But there are enough. See, one thing that you just talked about, the world versus India just now. I would say if DLF was with this ideology and all, if we were somewhere else, could we have grown maybe exponentially? The answer is yes.
As much as you're modest about what you say, right? And I'll tell you, I've written this down, right? The fact that you can buy a home, never worry about resale, never worry about leasing, never worry about quality depreciation, never worry about the global luxury standard, you redefined it. When you take over, you redefined it. And there's a new chapter everyone else is following.
Yeah. No doubt about that. We've redefined the way.
How did you come up with this concept?
So again, luxury living is something that when we brought in hospitality into our business, how many people actually believe we'll be able to pull it off? In fact, it was such a struggle to hire the first general manager of the Oberoi Hotel.
When you look at the last 27 years and when you look at the family's influence on you, what are those 4 or 5 things which, are non-negotiable for Akash?
Discipline is non-negotiable for me. Relationships, if they're not cared for, is non-negotiable for me. And most importantly, disrespect in any manner, in any form, is non-negotiable for me. So I go by those principles.
And applied those aspects in professional, applied those aspects
personal, professional, everywhere. So that That is zero tolerance.
Let's move to the last segment, Akash. Okay. If I had to ask you to make one big prediction for real estate in India, just a prediction. I know 10 years, 20 years is too much ahead, but you live this, you breathe this, it's in your DNA. What is that?
Well, for me, I think what I saw very early, sometime mid last year, was this new set of youngsters coming into the business, and in terms of ownership, and of course the Prime Minister's vision of homes for everybody and everything else. I mean, that'll be our dream too. Where everybody decides.
I really, really appreciate the candor. I really, really appreciate the conversation, Akash. I think this is a masterclass for everyone on humility, but more importantly, how do you build quality? And it's a painful, everyday job, grit and perseverance stretched over a period of time. And you've done that beautifully. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I hope the questions that I interacted with or I asked Akash is something you would have asked Akash yourself.
I don't have any favorites, but if I had one, meet the Sehgals. This was a deeply human conversation. We spoke about partnership, ambition, and staying aligned through uncertainty. What moved me was how intentional they are about respecting each other's dreams while protecting the relationship itself. Building a life together while pursuing individual experiences requires clarity, patience, emotional maturity. If you're navigating through partnerships, through business or life, this episode feels grounded and it feels real.
Like it's not rehearsed. Nobody shoots my videos. They were seeing a woman who was really working hard. She was shooting, she was cooking, she was styling.
All by herself.
All alone. I've never had a team, I've never had a videographer. And that was a conscious decision because it was my story.
Correct.
I didn't want you to see my story through someone else's
So
lens.
right.
So it was my story. So I did everything. And I'm a trained musician. So the knowledge of music and how it matches my videos, and then it's all very real. It's my aesthetics, everything comes, and people connect with real content.
But where does this honesty come from? You are self-taught.
Yes.
And in a world, which I said, people think it belongs to a few people.
Yes.
And that table usually is very difficult to kind of come to.
Yes.
And yet, as I say it again, what was that? Was it your upbringing? This resilience that you have in you?
Yeah.
And quiet resilience. I've known you for so many years, you've never said anything. You're just going at it and at it and at it.
Yes, I failed like so many times, over and over. I tried so hard, and Girish has seen the journey over the years. But as I said, I don't know why, but in my heart, I knew that I just had to keep doing it.
Because I speak the truth. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. It's very evident. But when luxury and hospitality, at least in India, where of course you had the Taj and you had the Oberois, but when these brands started looking offshore and wanted to export hospitality, luxury hospitality offshore, maybe in the 80s, maybe in the 90s, but the luxury as a concept was a white man's game. And Girish Sehgal, you changed that game a couple of decades ago. You were the
Atithi Devo Bhava, and we talk about it, but it's true. I think I remember kind of growing up as well. I come from a very small town as Dehradun. So we used to be very popular during summers because everyone wanted to escape the heat of India.
Heat of especially Delhi.
Absolutely. And so we would always have visitors who would come through. And obviously at that time, there wasn't a concept of living in hotels. So even if it was some relative's friend who was going there, they would say, hey, listen, go stay over at Sehgal's house or whatever. And I think the care which our grandparents, our parents, and obviously, we had to do to take care of, our guests coming over. I think that is deeply imbibed.
which focuses on excess,
Yes.
which focuses on, I would say, extraordinary aspects
Yes.
of that experience. You have built an experience out of simplicity.
Yes.
There is a contradiction.
Yes.
Take us through that.
You know, Kunal, I personally think simplicity is the ultimate luxury. I believe in it.
Hmm.
It's a very famous quote.
Hmm.
I truly believe in it. Because we complicate things too much. But if you think of a simple plate that I serve, or if you go to a really fancy restaurant and they pile up your plates with
Hmm.
many elements.
If it exists,
Yeah.
we'll take care of that. But you took it on your stride. You took it on your stride. Of course, it bothered you.
Yeah.
But your disposition was calm. Where does this inherent strength come from?
I think probably I would give a lot of credit to my mother. I think she's built us that, to be a strong man, you should be able to kind of go through crisis. I think it's also a lot of belief in nature that, there is day and there's night. There's certain things which you learn when you are under sunshine. There's certain things which you should learn when you're in darkness as well. And, it's an opportunity to.
As I said, I think that's who I am.
Hmm.
I was just being me.
Hmm.
All through this journey, all I've ever done is be me.
Hmm.
A lot of people tell me that, this is going viral, that's going viral. Why don't you you will never see me copy anyone's work. I just believe in simplicity. I'm a simple person. I live like that. I eat that food. So I was just sharing what I believe in. And I've stayed so true to what I believe in. I have been so real and so integral. I mean, I couldn't have done it any other way.
You shifted to Dubai just under a year ago.
Yes.
And under a year,
People who are Emiratis, Russians, Americans, ambassadors, Australians, all nationalities which have come.
you talked to me about that Marathi lady.
Yes, yeah.
Talk.
Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah, no, I think it just feels so beautiful that, as you rightly said, a lot of time these are random people. So
Yeah.
maybe a friend, two people who are
Yeah.
known, but they don't know the other 8 people. The other 8 people don't know
Yeah.
the rest of them as well. So I think it is the power of truth. It is the power of beauty that I think it finds its own way.
Yeah.
And this was such a beautiful story. We had this very lady, what your soul needs, I would say.
I can't have Mr. Luxury here and not talk about luxury.
Mm-hmm.
What does luxury mean to you?
Very much in some ways that you spoke about what Surabhi was speaking about earlier as well. It is making things simple. It is building a connection. It is about energy in that place. It's like a lot of time we confuse luxury with beautiful chandeliers
Opulence.
or opulence, but then we're missing that soul. So for me, luxury is personalized. So it'll be different for you. It'll be different for me. And if you are that fortunately Mubadala bought into that concept, and we got the first project as Cleveland Clinic. And there, with our beautiful partnership, patient became the center of everything. It was, yes, the doctors were doing their aspect, but, we brought in that hospitality. For the first time, brought in Michelin star chefs in hospitals.
Did you get resistance from the doctoral community?
Of course.
Because they're wired differently.
Yes, they're
Not
wired
their fault.
differently. And their also thought was that, this is a system which has worked for this while.
Yeah.
So I think it was the other way around. Instead of me expecting that the doctors would change, I had to learn their language, understand the basic concerns.
We had to change the narrative because our food is everyday food. It's not aspirational.
Yeah.
What we need to do is that look at our Ayurveda, look at our Sadhya meal, look at what Kerala is doing, what Kolkata is doing, what Odisha is.
Everybody.
Maharashtrian food is mostly vegan, gut friendly. My God, we are so beautiful. Our cuisine
And
is
it's all
so-
science.
Yes.
The
Absolutely.
Konkan region, they eat in a certain way.
Yeah.
The weather is like that.
Yes.
That's the coastal region.
Yes.
The
The
seasonal-
Sahyadri range region, they eat in a certain way. The
Yeah.
weather is like that.
How many varieties of rice in India?
Correct.
Who knows about it? If you think, butter chicken, dal makhani, butter paneer, aloo gobi, other than that,
influence or not coming from a Bollywood family or whatever, getting an experience, like if you look at Dubai as well, almost all the top positions are filled in by, it's like the closest of aides of the sheikhs are from India.
1995, I went there for the first time. It was like literally Europe and America at the immigration. Obviously, there was not very much tech,
Yeah.
right? There was no biometrics and all those things over there. Then you had rest of the world.
yes.
And there was India, Pakistani and Bangladeshis.
Yeah.
And now when you go down to the Palm Islands and the Jumeiras and everything, and you have a Shah Rukh Khan movie.
People, Baba, Namaskar. I love this man. He reminded me how disconnected modern life has become from natural intelligence. We spoke about soil, health, trees, regeneration, and quite wisdom embedded in nature. What stayed with me was the idea that sustainability begins with humility. Nature gives generously when treated with respect. If you care about long-term thinking, if you care about this earth, this conversation reframes how you think about the environment, about responsibility, and above all, nature's balance. Watch it. You will love it.
मेरे को एक चीज समझ में नहीं आती।
हाँ।
इंडिया एग्रीकल्चर इकोनॉमी है। हमारे 60 से 70 भाई बहन एग्रीकल्चर में आज भी है। मिट्टी से संजोर रहे हैं एवरी डे, टॉयलिंग इन द मिट्टी। उनको पता है।
हाँ।
पॉलिसी मेकर्स को ही नहीं पता। और क्यों करने दे रहे? मैं कभी कभी सोचता हूँ वो बेचारों के पास शायद 2 बीघा जमीन ही हो, राइट, और उसको फसल ज़्यादा करनी है, उसकी प्राइमरी सोर्स ऑफ इनकम है, शायद वो लेयर को जला दे। वो इग्नोरेंट है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली उसे हमने एजुकेट नहीं किया, लेकिन अभी काफ़ी वो सब है। पर लेकिन ये एजुकेटेड लोगों को पता है, पॉलिसी मेकर्स को पता है, पॉलिसी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन स्पेशलिस्ट को पता है, ये क्यों नहीं करवा रहे?
I've been working in this field for 48 years and trying to educate people.
नहीं हो रहा?
And the simple reason whether it's class, the bureaucratic class, the officials, the intellectual, they say only one thing: मिट्टी वोट नहीं देती, मिट्टी इलेक्शन जिता के नहीं देगी, सो मिट्टी पे हम टाइम वेस्ट क्यों करें?
पर वो आपका भाई बहन वो सफर कर रहा है।
That is how you and me can think. That is how some few people can think. But that is not how the classes are in this country. हाँ, but you do the same thing in Australia. आप करके देखो, आप यूरोप में, आप नेदरलैंड्स में करके देखिए, आप जर्मनी में करके देखिए, and you see you will lose your seat. आपके तख्ता पलट हो जाएगी, आपकी सरकारें गिर जाएंगी वहाँ पर। आप you can't mess with their air, you can't mess with their soil. हवा, पानी, मिट्टी, पेड़ पौधे। अगर हम सनातन की भी बात करें तो सनातन क्या था? जो हमसे पहले था, अभी है और हमारे बाद होगा। तो वो तो सिर्फ 4 चीजें हैं: हवा, पानी, मिट्टी और पेड़ पौधे। हवा, पानी, मिट्टी और पेड़ पौधे। और वहाँ पर वो हम कहते हैं ना डेवलप्ड इकोनॉमी, मैं उसको जीडीपी या उसकी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बेस या वहाँ की टेक्नोलॉजी उसके हिसाब से नहीं है। वो डेवलप्ड इसलिए हैं क्योंकि वो अपने सनातन को संजो के रखे हुए हैं, इसीलिए वो डेवलप्ड हैं। दे आर डेवलप्ड इन द थिंकिंग कि हमने अपनी हवा, पानी, मिट्टी और पेड़ पौधों को, एयर, वाटर, सॉइल एंड प्लांट्स, हमने इसको प्रिजर्व करके रखना है, बिकॉज इट इज़ अ सोर्स ऑफ आवर वेल बीइंग, इट इज़ अ सोर्स ऑफ आवर वेलनेस, इट इज़ अ सोर्स ऑफ आवर फूड, इट इज़ अ सोर्स ऑफ एवरीथिंग अराउंड अस। सो वो न्यूक्लियस है, वो पिवट पॉइंट है, उसके अराउंड पूरी दुनिया।
वो जैसे अवतार मूवी में वो एक आपकी ट्री ऑफ लाइफ थी,
करेक्ट,
एवरीथिंग इज अराउंड दैट, ये वो है,
करेक्ट। सो इकोसिस्टम्स जो हैं, बायोडाइवर्सिटी है, आपकी सॉइल है, आपका पानी है, एवरीथिंग। एंड सॉइल जो है वो सबसे एक सबस्ट्रेटम है, वो सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट है, वही तो प्लांटिंग मीडियम है। उसके अंदर आप जो बीज लगाओगे उसी के अंदर आज आप क्यों हो? क्योंकि आप खाना खाते हो। खाना कहाँ से आता है? मिट्टी से आता है। मैं भी अगर आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ, इस वक्त हम लोग चल रहे हैं, बात कर रहे हैं, वो इसीलिए तो हैं। और इसी मिट्टी में पौधे हैं, पौधे में पत्ते हैं, पत्ता ही परमात्मा है, क्योंकि पत्तों में ही क्लोरोफिल है, फोटोसिंथेसिस है, ऑक्सीजन जनरेट होता है। कोई दीवारें तो ऑक्सीजन जनरेट करनी नहीं।
मुझे एक चीज़ बताना पीपल बाबा जी, इज वो कहते हैं ना, माँ के चरण में जन्नत है और भारत माँ के चरण में उसकी सॉइल है और वो जन्नत है। क्या हो रहा है हमारे सॉइल के साथ?
मिट्टी के साथ?
हाँ जी,
अरे
क्या है ये जो मिट्टी है ये
हाँ,
इट इज सो एंडियरिंग टू अस, बट हम इसको खराब कर रहे हैं, उतना मुझे पता है।
हाँ, मिट्टी की इज्जत नहीं हो रही।
क्यों?
मिट्टी, क्योंकि मिट्टी नैरेटिव में है ही नहीं। मिट्टी आपके किसी भी डिस्कशन का टॉपिक नहीं है। मिट्टी कभी भी कोई भी नेशनल नैरेटिव का नहीं है। आप कोई भी चैनल देखिए, कोई भी न्यूज़ डिस्कशंस देखिए, कहीं पर भी मिट्टी। और मिट्टी जब हमने जब काम शुरू किया 77 में काम शुरू किया था, 1977 में, 76, 77, 80s, 90s में भी जहाँ भी बैठते थे, नाना नानी, दादा दादी, हमारे बड़े बुजुर्ग, माली, काका, किसान, हम सबसे पहले मिट्टी पे बात करते थे। क्योंकि मिट्टी अगर आपकी सही है तो उसके अंदर जो भी आप उगाएंगे, है ना। आज आप फ्लड्स की भी बड़ी बड़ी सिचुएशंस देख लो, क्योंकि आपने अपनी मिट्टी खराब कर ली। क्योंकि
कैसे खराब किया हमने?
क्योंकि केमिकल फार्मिंग, एनक्रोचमेंट्स, डेब्री, फिर उसके बाद सैंड माइनिंग। तो मिट्टी तो सोना है। आप सोने को ही अगर वो रिस्पेक्ट नहीं दोगे, वो ऑनर नहीं दोगे, उसको संजो के नहीं रखोगे, उसको प्रिजर्व करके नहीं रखोगे, और उसके अंदर कुछ भी डालोगे, चाहे माइक्रोप्लास्टिक्स हों, चाहे तेल है, चाहे आप रिवर्स बोरिंग करके सारी केमिकल्स और डाइज और क्या कुछ नहीं कर रहे मिट्टी के साथ। सो मिट्टी के साथ तो मॉलेस्टेशन हो रहा है, मिट्टी के साथ तो ओपन तबाही हो रही है। सो अच्छा, बाकी देशों ने ये चीज़ पहचान ली है। अभी हम इतने देशों में घूमने जाते हैं, चाहे वो यूरोप हो, ऑस्ट्रेलिया हो, सिंगापुर हो, मतलब मैं कई देशों में गया हूँ। वहाँ मैंने एक चीज़ देखी है, वो अपनी मिट्टी को हाँ, वो उसको खुदा नहीं कहते, देवा नहीं कहते, देवी नहीं कहते, उसको भगवान नहीं कहते, मिट्टी के नाम पे कोई ऐसा कोई रिलीजियस या स्पिरिचुअल उनका कोई नैरेटिव नहीं है, लेकिन उनके लिए मिट्टी मिट्टी है। वो मिट्टी को बहुत प्यार से रखते हैं।
वो मिट्टी को साइंस की तरह से देखते हैं।
एग्जैक्टली।
और हम इमोशन देखते हैं। हाँ जी,
हाँ, हम उसमें बस
अगर इमोशन कहानी भी देख रहे हैं, लेकिन वो कहानी को हम खराब कर रहे हैं।
हाँ, बिल्कुल।
ये सबको पता है,
और
हम क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं?
क्यों नहीं कर रहे?
लैक ऑफ एम्पैथी हो रहा है। क्या हो रहा है?
हाँ, क्योंकि आई थिंक वहाँ पर ना एक बहुत बड़ा मैंने डिफरेंस जो देखा कि अगर आप वहाँ की मिट्टी को ख़राब करते हो, एनवायरनमेंट को ख़राब करते हो, आप वहाँ की हवा और पानी को ख़राब करते हो, तो पॉलिटिशियन कैन लूज हिज जॉब। तो वहाँ पीपल आर वेरी केयरफुल। वो कह रहे हैं ये मेरी चीज़ है। अब जैसे हम ऑस्ट्रेलिया गए तो वहाँ पर वो कह रहे दिस इज़ माई नेचर रिजर्व, दिस इज़ माई गार्डन, दिस इज़ माई पार्क, दिस इज़ माई पाथवे, दिस इज़ माई रोड, दिस इज़ माई काउंटी, दिस इज़ माई काउंसिल। हम यहाँ तो कभी भी नहीं बोलते, हम कभी भी नहीं बोलते। सो आई थिंक वही चीज़ फिर पेनिट्रेट करती है, वही चीज़ डिस्टिल करती है, वही चीज़ आपकी फ़िल्टर होके जो छोटी छोटी चीज़ें हैं, जैसे मिट्टी, वैसे मैं उसको छोटी चीज़ नहीं कहूँगा, लेकिन मैं देख रहा हूँ कि हम लोग यहाँ पर मिट्टी को मिट्टी ही, मतलब दूसरे तरीके से मैं कह रहा हूँ, लिटरली उसको मिट्टी समझते हैं।
Would you say that is the root cause of all?
हाँ, रूट कॉज ऑफ एवरीथिंग सर। बाकी तो नदी बननी, ये पहाड़ों की बात, ग्लेशियर्स की बात, ग्लोबल वार्मिंग की बात, कार्बन एमिशंस की बात,
सेकेंडरी है,
ये तो उसका सबसेट है। अच्छा, मैं उसकी आपको इस तरह से छोटी सी समरी दूंगा। मैं लोगों को, बच्चों को, जब हम स्कूल्स में जाते हैं, हम ये समझाने की कोशिश करते हैं कि आप मेरे स्किन का आप स्कूप आउट कर लो, छोटा सा टुकड़ा, और इसका आप केमिकल कॉम्पोजिशन जो है आप एक लेबोरेटरी में करवाएं, तो आपको उसका क्या रिजल्ट मिलेगा? 98.4% जो मिट्टी की केमिकल कॉम्पोजिशन है
वो
एक हेल्दी, वो मेरी स्किन की है।
सो वी आर इंटीग्रेटेड विद अर्थ।
हाँ, वाओ, है ना। मिट्टी की ढेरी तो हम हैं, सिर्फ इतना है क्योंकि हम सांस ले रहे हैं।
अच्छा।
खैर, सांस तो मिट्टी भी लेती है,
माइक्रोऑर्गेनिज्म, लेकिन
क्योंकि हम वी आर वॉकिंग टॉकिंग हीप्स ऑफ सॉइल, तो हम सोचते हैं हम एक अलग स्पीसीज हैं, लेकिन एक्चुअली जितनी 12.5 मिलियन स्पीसीज हैं, निकली तो वो मिट्टी से ही है। आपका जो एमीबा था, आपका जो पहली वाटर बॉडी थी, आपका जो पहले तो सॉइल बनी है। ठीक है, ठीक है, वो बात अलग है। हम लोग जियोलॉजिकल हिस्ट्री में 4.5 बिलियन ईयर्स की एवोल्यूशनरी साइंस पढ़ते हैं, जियोलॉजी पढ़ते हैं, तो जियोलॉजिकल आइस एजेस आई, जो भी है वो सब है। ठीक है, वाटर वर्ल्ड बना, सब बना,
चलो एक एवोल्यूशन है।
मिट्टी तो मिट्टी ही थी। जब ये जो पृथ्वी है, गोला है, द प्लैनेट, व्हेन इट डिसइंटीग्रेटेड फ्रॉम सम बिगर बॉडी, है ना, जब कोई कोलिजन रहा होगा तो जो बेस है वो तो सेम है ना, वो तो मिट्टी ही है। एंड आई थिंक जैसे NI जो है, नेचर्स इंटेलिजेंस, हम AI की बात करते हैं, 10 साल से AI की बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन जो NI है वो तो 4.5 बिलियन ईयर्स की टेक्नोलॉजी।
आप कह रहे हैं वो बैलेंस,
अब वो कह रहा है कि इनफ, ठीक है। सो अब वो आपको एलिमिनेट कैसे करेगा? वो यहाँ तो वायरस भेजेगा, अलग अलग टाइप के डिजीजेस भेजेगा, अलग अलग टाइप के कैंसर्स भेजेगा, अलग अलग टाइप की टेक्नोलॉजीज आपसे बनवाएगा। आपसे उसने फ़ोन बनवाया। कई बच्चे, मैं अभी पढ़ रहा था कि पिछले साल दिल्ली में 1600 बच्चे मर गए सिर्फ इसलिए क्योंकि वो टेक्स्ट कर रहे थे, सड़क पे जा रहे थे, कानों में वायर्स थी और कोई गाड़ी आके ठोक गई उनको, ठीक है, तो 1600 कम हो गए। सो टेक्नोलॉजी भी जो आ रही है, फास्ट मूविंग कार्स हैं, एक्सप्रेसवेज बन रहे हैं, हाईवेज बन रहे हैं, 12 लाख लोग सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान में फेटल एक्सीडेंट्स हुए। यू सी, अगर अच्छा ये चीज़ ना शहर में बैठ के नहीं समझ आती। आप जाके ना किसी एक बूढ़े पेड़ के नीचे बैठिए और फिर शांति से 20 मिनट ना सिर्फ देखो कि दुनिया में हो क्या रहा है। आप जो डेथ्स है ना उसकी भी एल्गोरिदम आपको समझ आएगी। जो मौत है ना, हम सिर्फ जन्म को एक मॉडल पे ले रहे हैं कि इतने सेकंड्स में एक बच्चा पैदा हो रहा है प्लेनेट पे। आप ये नहीं देख रहे कि वो एल्गोरिदम में कैसे ग्लिचेस आ रहे हैं
और डिस्ट्रक्शन,
ठीक है,
क्या पेस पे हो रही
अब आप देखो IVF क्लिनिक्स पंजाब में, है ना, मैं एक छोटी सी रिपोर्ट पढ़ रहा था हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री की, पंजाब हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री की। क्या गजब का डेटा है कि पूरी दुनिया में जितने IVF क्लिनिक्स नहीं है उतनी सिर्फ एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट में है, जलंधर में। जितने पूरी दुनिया में कैंसर केसेस होंगे उतने जो फर्स्ट स्टेज, सेकंड स्टेज, थर्ड स्टेज, टर्मिनल जो है वो पंजाब में है। क्यों? मिट्टी, द फर्स्ट थिंग हमने, है ना, तो आपने मिट्टी की कदर नहीं की, आपने उसमें 100%, आपने 99.9% जो एग्रीकल्चर हो रहा है वो केमिकल फार्मिंग हो रही है। भाई साहब, हाउ कैन यू हैव अ इकोनॉमी which is powered by poison? You have a economy, a GDP, a GST collection regime or a tax collection regime, no matter which government. I have seen 6 to 7 prime ministers. I have seen so many governments. मैं भी 48 साल से काम कर रहा हूँ, अब मैं 60 साल का होने वाला हूँ। So I have seen, तो हमने यही देखा कि हमने फिर we are coming back to the same thing, you know. अगर पंजाब का केस लें तो it is all just प्योरली वन थिंग, आपने अपनी मिट्टी खराब कर ली। पहले ज़माने में बुजुर्ग बोलते थे ना, बड़े बुजुर्ग कहते थे, ओ यार तू अपनी मिट्टी खराब मत करना, अपनी रिस्पेक्ट खराब मत करना। उसका उनका मतलब ये था।
ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन वहीं से स्टार्ट हुआ,
वहीं से स्टार्ट हुआ। जब ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन उस समय वो देश काल पात्र, उस वक्त वो ठीक थी बात।
और ये जो क्लस्टर आप बनाते हो,
हाँ,
गवर्नमेंट आपको ये लैंड देती है?
जी 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 जी। क्या हुआ, इसकी भी बड़ी प्यारी सी और कहानी है, और वो ये है कि जब हम पौधे लगाते थे तो फादर, जैसे मैंने आपको कहा, वो आर्मी में थे, तो जो कर्नल साहब होते थे, कोई यूनिट कमांडर होता था कैंटोनमेंट्स में, तो वो कहते थे, बेटा तुम वहाँ जो सड़कों पे लगा रहे हो और इतनी मेहनत कर रहे हो, कभी उसमें फेंसिंग लगाते हो, कभी उसमें खाद डालते हो, पानी डालते हो, तुम एक काम करो, मेरे पास इतने सोल्जर्स हैं, फटीग पार्टीज होती हैं, ठीक है, वो 4 बजे के बाद सब फ्री होते हैं, तुम एक काम करो, तो हमारी यूनिट के अंदर लगा दो, यहाँ पर हमें वैसे भी बायो फेंसिंग,
आधा एकड़ पड़ा हुआ है, वहाँ लगा दो,
वहाँ लगा दो। किसी को 5 एकड़ था, किसी को 20 एकड़ था, लैंड एस्टेट्स कैंटोनमेंट्स में बहुत होते, तो वहाँ से शुरुआत हुई। फिर क्या हुआ कि जैसे रेवेन्यू लैंड था जहाँ इंक्रोचमेंट हो रही थी, SDM, BDO, DM, कलेक्टर, कमिश्नर, उनके फ़ोन आने शुरू हो गए। दे स्टार्टेड कनेक्टिंग थ्रू देयर कॉन्टैक्ट्स कि अरे वो एक लड़का है, वो साइकिलों पे घूम घूम के पौधे लगाते, उसको बोलो यार हमारी ज़मीन खाली पड़ी है, वहाँ लगा दो। समझ, ऐसे हुआ। इट वॉज वेरी सॉफ्ट, इट वॉज वेरी, कोई ऐसा नहीं था कि मैं मिशन मोड पे हूँ और मैं डिटरमिन्ड हूँ।
इट वाज डेली इंक्रीमेंटल।
सर, इट वाज नेचर, वो नेचर, प्रकृति ही काम करवा रही थी। सो जैसे हमेशा हमारे गुरुजी हमें कहा करते थे कि इस बात से ना डिविएट मत होना, यू आर द चोजन वन। अगर प्रकृति ने आपको चुना है अपने काम के लिए तो वो आपका ख्याल भी रखेगी। तो चुप करके ना मुंह बंद और काम, है ना, मुंह बंद काम चालू। तो हम लोगों ने उस चीज़ को फॉलो किया एंड सर एवरीथिंग हैपेंड ऑर्गेनिकली। मैं किसी के पास नहीं गया, आज तक मैंने जाके कभी किसी से ज़मीन नहीं मांगी, मैंने आज तक कभी जाके किसी को रिक्वेस्ट नहीं की कि हाँ हमें ज़मीन दे दो, हम ऐसे करना चाहते हैं। अपने आप चीज़ें हुई, हम अपना काम करते रहे, लोगों ने वो काम देखा, लोगों को काम समझ आया, लोगों को समझ आया ये कमर्शियल नहीं है, ये तो वैसे ही शौक के लिए कर रहे हैं, तो अगर शौक ही पूरा करना है तो हमारी ज़मीन पे कर दो। आप समझे? अच्छा, वो ये ज़रूर कर देते थे, बीच में होता था कि वो थोड़े चूज़ी होते थे, अच्छा बेटा आम ज़्यादा लगा देना, इसमें ना थोड़ी सी अनार ज़्यादा लगा देना, चीकू लगा देना, ठीक है अंकल,
पर्सनल शौक
कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं भाई, 40 पौधे उसके आने हैं, 40 पौधे उसके मैं ले लेता था। अच्छा, और उस वक्त लिफाफों का ज़माना था, उस वक्त UPI नहीं था, उस वक्त कोई NEFT नहीं था, उस वक्त कोई हमारा अकाउंट ही नहीं था, तो जहाँ भी जाते थे तो कुछ काम वाम किया और फिर वो चाय या कुछ बिस्किट विस्किट देते थे और एक छोटा सा लिफाफे में कुछ वो डाल के, रंगीन लिफाफे जो शादी ब्याह के लिफाफे होते, तो सगन होता था, तो 2100 रुपये, 5100 रुपये, 11,000 रुपये,
उसको बॉम्बे में हम खरी कमाई कहते थे।
हाँ, तो वो दे के और ऐसे डाल देते, कहते बेटा है ना, बहुत अच्छा काम किया, आगे भी करना, है ना, कोई और तुम्हें कोई सपोर्ट चाहिए हो हमें बता देना।
सो कॉन्शियस लोग भी हैं,
हाँ,
people who don't have conscious भी
हाँ,
हैं,
हाँ,
but eventually the goodness will trump.
आई फील सर कि वो जो 2% अच्छे लोग हैं ना प्लैनेट पे, वही दुनिया को चला रहे हैं, जो 2% वो है, और नानी ने हमें यही सिखाया कि वो 2% लोगों को ढूंढो।
You know, मैं जब
बाकी 98% है ना, 98% है, वो तो यहाँ पर बफर है, वो तो टाइम पास के लिए आए हैं,
you know,
उनको पॉलिटिक्स करने दो, उनको
सही,
जो करना है करने दो, तुम वो 2% में अपना मुकाम बना के रखो। वो जो संगत है, वो जो सत्संग है 2% का, वही पृथ्वी को चलाती है, वही नदियों को चलाती है, वही पहाड़ों को प्रोटेक्ट करती है, वही ये जानवरों को, चाहे हो गाय हो, बकरी हो, वाइल्ड लाइफ हो, एनिमल्स हो, टाइगर हो, आपका एलिफेंट हो, वही आपके पॉलिनेटर्स को देखती है, और 2% पे ही ये पूरी पृथ्वी चलती है। दिस इज समथिंग विच वी अंडरस्टूड एट अ वेरी वेरी यंग एज एंड इवन टुडे आई स्टैंड बाय इट। सो जब लोग कहते हैं कि इसको बदलो उसको बदलो, आई एम नॉट हियर टू चेंज पीपल, आई एम नॉट हियर टू चेंज द वर्ल्ड, आई एम हियर टू एन्जॉय व्हाट गॉड हैज़ गिवन मी। God has given me a beautiful planet. It has given me snow, ice, glaciers, rivers, rivulets, brooks. It has given me a beautiful forest, and I don't have the time to change people, to convince people. I am here to, हाँ, एक ज़रूर चीज़ है, क्योंकि मैं जैसे बचपन से ही, जैसे नानी हमेशा हमें कहती थी, यू आर अ बॉर्न टीचर, क्योंकि मैं बोल बोल के लोगों को समझा लेता था अपनी बात को आसान शब्दों में, तो वो यही कहती थी कि तू एक काम करना, तू टीचर बनना। सो फादर वांटेड मी टू बी आर्मी ऑफिसर, मेरी सिलेक्शन भी हो गई थी और 84 बैच में, और ही वांटेड मी टू बी अ डॉक्टर, उसमें भी मेरा हो ही गया था तकरीबन, बट माय नानी वांटेड मी टू बी अ गार्डनर।
क्या
नानी कहती थी मैं चाहता हूँ तू देश का माली बने, है ना।
Because you were the chosen one.
सो उनको बहुत था कि पेड़ पौधों के साथ रह, ये आदम जात के साथ काम मत कर, तू पेड़ पौधों के साथ काम कर, तू बहुत सुखी रहेगा बेटा। सो आई थिंक दैट इज यू नो द स्पेस फ्रॉम विच आई कम एंड
आपको मेरी हाइपोथेसिस सुननी है?
हाँ,
And the first 18 years, like you have to nurture it, right?
वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। सो अच्छा, यहाँ पर मैं एक और बात बोली, बहुत लोग बोलते हैं कि अगर जैसे ऐसे कैजुअली पूछ लेते हैं, अगर आपको पूरी पावर दे दी जाए, अगर आपको प्रधानमंत्री बना दिया जाए तो आप क्या करोगे? तो वो सोचते हैं मैं एनवायरनमेंट से कुछ बोलूँगा, मैं कहूँगा मैं प्राइमरी एजुकेशन को ठीक,
Absolutely, sir.
प्राइमरी एजुकेशन अगर ठीक होगी वही आपका फ्यूचर, आपको
Absolutely.
एवरीथिंग कम्स आउट ऑफ प्राइमरी।
मैं कहता हूँ सर, और ये मैंने फोरम्स में, करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट को बढ़ा दो, बोरो करो, और अगले 10 साल मिशन, जिसको आप कहो ना मिशन, कि इंडिया विल प्रोड्यूस लेट्स से 10 मिलियन टीचर्स।
यस,
टीचर्स को
स्किलिंग करो,
स्किल ना, मैं कह रहा हूँ उनको, हाउ यू हैव इंडियन सिविल सर्विस, इंडियन एजुकेशन सर्विस में ले आओ,
यस,
वो दर्जा उनको दे दो। अनलेस नॉलेज एडवांस नहीं होगी, करेक्ट। आप क्या बच्चों को सिखाओगे? बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। वी कैन फेल। हम अपनी मिट्टी को फेल कर रहे हैं भाई साहब, हम अपने बच्चों को भी फेल कर रहे हैं। बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
सीड
know,
है, वो बीज है।
वो भी तो बीज है।
अगर आपका बीज ही ठीक नहीं है तो पेड़ कहाँ से ठीक बनेगा?
करेक्ट।
अगर बीज का जेनेटिक्स ही ठीक नहीं
Correct.
है, दैट इज़ वाई हम लोग जब जीएमओ की बात करते हैं, हम ये जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड सीड्स की बात करते हैं, वो इसीलिए बात करते हैं सर, वो बीज का संस्कार ही नहीं है।
एब्सोल्युटली।
बीज में
टीचर
दम ही
शुड बी
नहीं है।
गिवन द हाईएस्ट रिस्पेक्ट। मैं कह रहा हूँ आईपीएस के जैसे रिस्पेक्ट दो उनको, आईएएस के जैसे रिस्पेक्ट दो, पेडेस्टल पे बिठा के रखो।
अब मेरा जो आईटीआर इनकम टैक्स जाता है वो मैं एज अ टीचर भरता हूँ, टीचर एंड फार्मर।
हाँ जी,
ठीक है,
हाँ जी।
तो थोड़ी मेरी एग्रीकल्चर इनकम है, टीचर है, एनवायरनमेंट वगैरह तो चलो शौक है हमारा। सो अभी जब हम ऑस्ट्रेलिया भी गए तो कई जगह पे मेरे को अपने आप को वो जैसे कुछ इंट्रोड्यूस करना था, सो आई सेड आई एम अ टीचर। सर इतनी अच्छी तरह लोग मिले हमसे। अभी मैंने एनवायरनमेंट कुछ नहीं बोला, सिर्फ ये बोला आई एम अ टीचर। वो तो बाद की बात है कि आप क्या पढ़ाते हैं। सो वो चीज़ अब इंडिया से ना गायब हो रही है। पहले जय जवान जय किसान, ना किसान ना जवान, वो बेचारे की अब उतनी इज्जत रही नहीं। पूरा नैरेटिव बदल गया है और उसी तरह से हमारे टीचर्स की इज्जत नहीं रही। जिस दिन हमारे जो शिक्षक हैं, हमारे जो गुरु हैं, अगर उसके ऊपर आप इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं करोगे, है ना। और प्राइमरी एजुकेशन इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। आई पर्सनली फील फर्स्ट नर्सरी से लेके 8वीं
ये जेनजी सब ठीक कर देगा।
सब ठीक कर।
ये अपने गुरु को खुद चूज करेगा।
आई हैव अ लॉट ऑफ होप। आई हैव अ लॉट ऑफ होप
Absolutely.
कि जब से ये जेनजी लोग दूसरे डायमेंशंस में, डोमेन्स में बात करते हैं,
छोड़ दो सर।
मेरी तो सारी उम्मीदें ही जेनजी।
एब्सोल्युटली। आई
दे
थिंक
विल सेट एवरीथिंग।
दे विल सेट
उनको आई थिंक हम बहुत अंडररेट कर रहे हैं। हम सोच रहे हैं कि नहीं, सिर्फ खुरापात में नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। जेनजी विल सेट एवरीथिंग राइट। दिस इज़ माय, ये मेरा बिलीफ है।
सर ये podcast, this conversation, if I had to wind it up, and I'll leave the last word with you, but if I just happen to take one last word with me first before you speak. So आज की बातचीत में एक छोटी सी पंक्ति से मैं ख़त्म करना चाहता हूँ, जो आप कह रहे हो कि पेड़ लगाओ छाँव मिलेगी, मिट्टी को बचाओ,
हाँ, मिट्टी को बचाओ,
जीवन खिलेगा। Plant a tree, you will have the shades of life. Preserve the mitti, life will bloom.
Yes. And people need to understand, you cannot control climate change. आप क्लाइमेट को कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते। क्लाइमेट में बहुत सारे पैरामीटर्स होते हैं। आप सिर्फ इंडिविजुअल तक आप अपने एक्शंस को कंट्रोल कर सकते। ठीक है, आप उसको छोड़ो, आप एक नेशन के लेवल पे नहीं कर सकते, ग्लोबल लेवल पे तो छोड़िए, आप एक स्टेट लेवल पे, एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल, एक टाउन लेवल, एक विलेज लेवल पे भी नहीं कर सकते। इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे फोकस कीजिए। इंडिविजुअल से ही वो रिपल इफेक्ट जाएगा सारी जगह। सो स्टॉप टॉकिंग क्लाइमेट कंट्रोल, हम क्लाइमेट मिटिगेशन, क्लाइमेट ये नहीं। आप ये देखो, आप अपने घर से क्या कर सकते हो।
True,
आप
so
अपनी निजी जिंदगी में डेली, रोज रात को एक डायरी लिखिए, रोज रात को नोटिंग कीजिए, रिव्यू कीजिए अपनी लाइफ को, अपने दिन को, कि मैंने ऐसा क्या किया विच वॉज प्रॉबली, इफ नॉट बेनिफिशियल, इट वॉज प्लेजेंट फॉर नेचर। तो मैं क्या किया? मैंने कुछ सीड कलेक्शन किया, मैंने कुछ वाइल्ड लाइफ के लिए कुछ किया, मैंने कुछ मिट्टी के लिए कुछ किया, मैंने कुछ गार्डन्स के लिए किया, मैंने कुछ एग्रीकल्चर में किया, मैंने कुछ फॉरेस्ट्री में किया। कुछ तो लिखो। मैंने पानी ही बचाया।
True.
जैसे मेरे घर में शावर्स हैं, लेकिन मैं बाल्टी और मग से नहाता हूँ, क्योंकि मुझे ये लगता है इसमें 20 लीटर लगेगा, ये मेरी 10 लीटर। समझ गए? आप समझ, है छोटी सी चीज़ है,
समझ।
बट इट गिव्स मी जॉय एंड इट बिकम्स वेरी एडिक्टिव। अगर आप डेली डायरी लिखेंगे ना, इट बिकम्स, अब मैं सो ही नहीं सकता जब तक मुझे खुजली होती है, जब तक मैं अपनी डायरी में लिख ना लूँ कि मैंने आज क्या क्या किया, है ना। सो आई थिंक इंडिविजुअल इज मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट rather than talking about a global level and national level and conferences and seminars and ठीक है, वो फिज़ा बनाते हैं, वो एक इकोसिस्टम बनाते हैं, वो ठीक है, माहौल क्रिएट करते हैं, लेकिन अल्टीमेटली तो जो बेबी स्टेप्स हैं, आपके छोटे छोटे एक्शंस हैं, दैट इज़ व्हाट इज़ गोइंग टू मैटर। वहीं से ब्राउनियन मोशन शुरू होता है। सो एटॉमिक जो हैबिट्स हैं आपकी, एज एन इंडिविजुअल आप क्या कर सकते हो, दैट शुड बी द फोकस।
Super. firstly, they don't make people like you, and they need to clone people like you, and that can only happen. You just put your goodness out there. You have, I know it for a fact. I'm telling you, before I came here, people, Baba, everyone knew you. और मैंने किसी से बात नहीं की. मैं बोला मैं people बाबा जी से कर रहा हूँ. And you were gracious enough to say yes to me. People Baba, Swami Parivartan, which is essentially means transformation. PB to your colleagues.
Yeah.
Munna to your friends, to your nani.
हाँ.
Munna bhai to all Mumbaikars.
Yes.
It's an absolute pleasure. It's an absolute honor. And I'll tell you, the final, I would say, learnings for all of us is मिट्टी को संभाल के रखो.
बस अगर ये 4 शब्द किसी को समझ आ गए ना, उसको पूरा यूनिवर्स समझ आ गया. मिट्टी को संभाल कर.
I started the conversation on record saying I love you. I'm telling you I love you even more today.
Thank you.
And all the goodness, all the positive energies, and may you continue to keep enlightening all of us.
Thank you so much.
एक ही है, जब तक आप ना आपका वो वंतस्त्र क्या उसके बाद सन्यासी और वो एकदम लास्ट तक बस just keep on, क्योंकि हम जैसे लोग जो whatever reason we are distracted, we will come back. और मैं रोज कह रहा हूँ आप रोज ठोकते हो हमें को.
Yes.
And that is required. So thank you so much, Ji.
Thank you so much.
No, seriously. And
It means a lot.
once again, I hope you just love this episode. I love it. I'm telling you, you can see it in my emotion. But to my Indian brothers, my Indian sisters, salam, namaste, sat sri akal, adab.
CP Gurnani is too senior to be called a friend, but he has always given me respect as one. My conversation with CP was about leadership under extreme pressure. We explored how he took charge after the Satyam crisis, how he rebuilt across thousands of people and institutions. What stood out was his calm discipline, ethical clarity, consistency of action. If you lead teams or organizations through uncertainty, this episode offers rare insight into resilience, trust building at scale.
If, Kunal, you want to reflect back, middle of the war, Lord Krishna and Arjun have something similar when they talk. Lord Krishna is the mentor, he is the coach, and Arjun is a young man with potential. And that young man with potential had the normal fears of life, normal confusion about life, normal crossroads of life where which decision to take. And at that point of time, Krishna also said, don't run after the results. Focus on the journey. Focus on the moment. And I think whether it is Three Idiots or whether any other spiritual learning, they will always...
So true. You know, I also asked some of your colleagues who kind of knew you, and something beautiful one of them said, and I'm just probably trying to put something around that. And that was, CP दिल में भी आते हैं और CP समझ में भी आते हैं. ये कहाँ से हुआ?
Honestly, you're asking a wrong guy. Because जो मेरे को पढ़ रहा है वो बताएगा कि वो कैसे पढ़ रहा है. From my point of view, there are 2 or 3 rules, and that's where I'm grateful to my family for that. One is that people asked me work-life balance. I said, yeah, marry work and life, then you're not going to have the word called balance out there. So for me, I bring work home and I bring life. I think I've been lucky. So I'll tell you from many of my bosses that I worked with, I found this, most of them are, so that's why I may not agree with very few people. So for example, one of my first bosses was Shiv Nadar. Shiv Nadar suddenly on a Sunday morning at about 11 a.m., and those are the time when you have these rotary phones. A phone will ring and he said, "What are your plans for lunch? I just discovered they're doing chettinad chicken and you love chettinad chicken. Why don't you come over?" Now, my point is, similarly, I worked with a legend called Vineet Nair Sr., who was an ex-IS officer. I mean, I have sat on a dining table with him where everybody is arguing with everybody. Why am I laughing? I would visit, both my kids went to college in US. At 17, when I sent my daughter, I would insist I'll have a meal with her. Number 2, I would like to stay with her. And number 3 is that I would like to take her friends out for lunch the next day. And she thought, I'm spending too much of money. So she had her own interpretation, having one-to-one, father-daughter bonding.
For sure.
Staying with her meant that she was forced to clean up her apartment.
For sure, because the father was coming.
The girl that she used to share it with. So she understood that part. And number 3 is that I would take her friends out for lunch and she would say, "Why do you want to spend that kind of money?" And I would say, "No, it's..." Then I would realize that you do not run a business without getting your hands into the soil, without getting your hands dirty, without living it with your, partners. You may call them worker bees today, or you may call them queen bees. But the reality is that if you are not in the trenches with them,
For sure.
you don't build an organization. And the moment he did that, in that environment, his clothes did become dirty. That's number 1 lesson. Second lesson for me from my grandfather was that there is no substitute to hard work. Ultimately, it was that him getting up in the morning, as I told you, I lost my grandmother. Him getting up in the morning and being in a hurry, he was the boss. Being in a hurry to get to the workplace. Officers of the company, and I laid out a plan. It's a 3-year journey. It's not a 1-day journey. And this is how we are going to do it. And this is what the role everybody will play. And this is what your team is going to do. And I had the team present, not me. My point is that out of those 100 officers, 5 came back and said, "We don't want to be part of that journey because we have better options." And I actually hugged them. And I said, "Thank you for sharing with me that you are not part of the journey because somebody else can take over."
True.
I need the team to be motivated. I do not want team who is not 100% because our responsibility is not to the 30,000 employees outside. It is a responsibility we have made a commitment to the society. So I think we had fun. When I look back, I think we had...
To your childhood. You graduate from NIT. So grandfather influence in this village in Rajasthan. I understand 5 out of 10 people want to do engineering. Were you an engineer by heart when you were growing up? Or was it something that we had no choice at that point in time? Either there was a trade profession or there was the engineering profession.
So Kunal...
या तो distributor बन जाओ या तो engineer बन जाओ.
So I have to give you a little more background here. My mother had to balance her budget because my father chose not to join the oil mill because to him, he was a graduate and to him, carrying a sack of groundnut or
That wasn't his calling.
That was
call
not
him
his calling.
Whatever you may want to call it.
So he chose to join Central Bureau of Narcotics.
3 decades of tech engineering, 4th decade you're in AI right now, and you're unstoppable still. But how? What are you made up of? I just want to know. What are you made up of, CP? क्या चल रहा है?
देखो, most of us cannot deny the influence of not only our parents, our teachers, but in a way, the people that you work with. And the movies that you watch. In India, there is a huge influence of the movies. So to me, all the people that I know have never taken a break. So I told you about Shiv. I spoke to you about...
Fair enough, I understand that. Where I also want to understand is, here you were 18 years with tech, right? Almost Tech Mahindra, 18 saal?
I mean, almost 20 years.
20 years,
Yeah.
right? And you're a smart, intelligent, God bless you, you have the wealth right now, every aspect. And then you say, you know what, you want to do a startup. And that is a build phase. And we all know, first 5-7 years is crazy in that build phase. ये energy, ये resolve जो आप में है, does it go back to the roots? Because people will not build. You're saying, ठीक है, you know what, I'll sit on, I know so many people, I kid you not. At 60, you know what they say? You know what, let me monetize my brand, let me sit on a few boards. I saw, no names taken, of course, one of the ex-chairman of a large bank, he says, boss, man.
I think, I'm a huge believer in power of the God, power of the blessings of my parents, power of the blessings of the people that have been part of my life, power of the support that my wife and my family give to me. And I think all of them, in a way, did agree, not that I had a dialogue with my father, but I always make a point to go twice to pray to Almighty to say, thank you, God.
What's your relationship with God?
Oh, it's a beautiful relationship. The relationship is that for me, there is a belief that there is a God. Because where I was born, my parents, my first school.
Is your belief, and it's deeply personal. I'm just putting another layer. I'm just wanted to kind of ask is the fact that you have two people born on extreme sides, and let's say you were born in Rajasthan, and at the same time somebody was born in Bombay at that point in time. The Bombay person had all the richness and all the environment at that point in time when you were born, और सब चीज़ था and he wasn't successful, and आपके पास कुछ नहीं था and you were successful. Somewhere do you think, of course, that collective, I would say, energy and collective intellectualism of your family, but it was your killer instinct at every part of that journey which took you forward. And of course, then you met beautiful people, right? And you had great conversation. But at the end of the day, how we interpret it today. Let's come back to the future. Let's talk about INOS, AI on OS. What is happening there with your company? What are you disrupting now?
So INOS to me is the most beautiful part of my life. It is just an amazing opportunity. INOS to me is looking at, in general, every industry and saying, how can I improve? I put almost every situation, whether I come to Indian Institute of Hospitality, into 3 buckets: run, change, and grow. To me, it is about, let us say, I've come to meet you, Kunal, and I'm trying to say what AI can do for Indian Institute of Hospitality. My conversation would be that why don't I anticipate the puck? Then that means my growth strategy has to be very different. So that is what we come and do, and that's where we say AI will support you. Because many of these decisions start visualizing AI as your neural intelligence. Start visualizing AI as applied intelligence. Start visualizing AI as your second avatar.
Correct.
And the moment you start doing it, that means you are able to multiplex a lot better. If you are a capable person, you will do a run, change, grow.
Correct.
In every analysis, and that will help your decision making. Hence, it makes you a better, not only an individual, a better family man or a better this thing, because you are able to prioritize also.
You
a
are
better.
2x of your own self. See, a lot of people in India, around the world, again, there are contradictions to this as well. And they look at AI and they say, loss in jobs, right? It's going to take over. So if I can do...
We all can see a threat, we can see an opportunity, but till we see the threat, we will not get into that zone of seeing an opportunity. And I personally believe that many times you have to close a door to find a new door.
Oh, absolutely. See, tell me something. You have, as I said, you are one of those people who are building the nation as well, through your whatever. Do you think we are innovating enough as a society, as India? जितना होना चाहिए, वो हम कर रहे हैं? Or are we still in the risk-free zone? In the sense, companies are not taking that kind of risk for it to make those exponential jumps, which India requires.
As I told you right in the beginning of this conversation I programmed because my parents taught me, my grandfather taught me that a glass half full is your way of saying, thank you, God, thank you for that positivity.
Correct.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity.
You're such an optimist about everything. Where do you think India is in 2030? And where do you think India is in 2035? From your lens.
I think 2030 is next door. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough people who have told you we will be 5 trillion or 6 trillion, I mean, depending on who you talk to. So, I think 2030 is very, very clear.
और वो achievable है, मैं आपको बताता हूँ क्यों. आप सेंसेक्स ही देख लो ना, it's growing at about 15%. अगर वही 15% you compound it, let's say for 5 years, you already...
मजा आएगा अभी जो करंट ब्रेक लगा है. How would we be able to repurpose ourselves in many of the industries?
True.
So I am not only a believer, but I know that we all will make it happen.
Oh, absolutely. Resilient nation है. जो हम कर सकते, वही frugal innovation जो हम कर सकते हैं ना, वो नहीं कर सकते because they are used to a certain lifestyle. So we can go up and down like this.
So that is number one. Number two is, I think it a lot depends. In the past, India has shown this beautiful dance called one step forward and two step backwards. My sometimes a worry is that
I just want to check in with you on the fact, what after achieving so much and so much more you're kind of doing, what does life really mean to you today? In reflection, must be looking at a lot of, कहते हैं ना Charlie Chaplin's, in the short term life is a tragedy, but in the long term it's a comedy.
I think I never, so as I told you, every morning and every evening I have this dialogue with the God. And that dialogue with the God is always about gratitude. The dialogue is about giving me an opportunity to solve complex equations. Number third is that dialogue is all about,
Ashwini Khurana is a brother. His journey is a reminder that success is never linear. He spoke openly about losing everything, rebuilding with conviction, and grounding ambition in spirituality and, more important, responsibility. What stayed with me was how purpose evolves through adversity. If you are navigating in your personal life reinvention, this conversation offers courage and perspective.
Look at this is latest edition. The climate responsive art installation below 2 degrees.
So what does it signify?
Today, the climate crosses 2 degrees.
Okay,
And it gets so hot.
got it.
This will collapse. It will melt and it will collapse.
Oh,
So it's going to perform what the planet outside is going to do.
so it's just representing what's.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is a powerful environmental message.
And where did you get this kind of a?
Akash Ohri, an art installation expert, he's written a book. I'm a climate optimist. We met him, and did you see Sadhguru's quote? Our lives become beautiful not because we're perfect. It becomes beautiful because we put our heart into whatever we do.
And you have a very special bond with Sadhguru, right? Yeah. Do you want to talk about it? What is that special bond?
Met him some 20 years ago in a program he was conducting, and he somehow took me in, and we became one-on-one for more than 10 years. There have been times that we've been on the golf course 5 hours, just him and me. We have a record of Sadhguru playing some 54 holes of golf in one day out here.
And do you think, of course, you met him and you're kind enough to say that Sadhguru resonates with me as well. Not for his altruism, but very plain talk. It just resonates with me. It may not resonate with a whole lot of people, that's their problem. But with me, it resonates. How has this friendship, kinship, further enhanced your outlook towards life?
One thing I've heard him say, and I experience it every day, is if I compare myself who I was some 20, 30 years ago, I must have been like 80% masculine energy. And my environmental thing I will share with you.
Hanji.
The man who got me passionate about trees
Hanji.
and the environment was the creator of the rock garden in Chamba.
The nation, of course. And you've spoken about him so many times with so much of fondness and so much of adulation, right? Yeah.
You know, so when I met him and I saw his place of beauty out of waste, I fell in love. It was my dream that one day I'll get a piece of land and request him to help me plant trees. And the day came in my life. And when we planted trees together, 6 months later, when I see the trees grow, I'm overwhelmed, like you see a child grow. So and that's how.
So we were saying, there is no better joy than to see that underserved life from wherever to that eventual glory that they'll receive. Then I question myself, ये fate है, ये destiny है, ये chance encounter है. You were there and through endowments even at ISH, I have seen not countless, but in the early hundreds of lives change forever. They came from Jharkhand, they came from Bihar hinterlands, and even that 7 lakhs that they earn today has completely changed their family.
Then we look forward to moksha.
Correct. And look to moksha. Correct. We would love to know what Sadhguru thinks about this. What do you think?
About
Moksha and the concept.
It says, thousands of lifetimes of grind, later the soul is exhausted. It wants freedom.
Correct.
In other words, liberation. In other words, moksha.
So right, yeah. And I always wonder, no child chooses where he or she will be born.
Yeah.
You and I, no amount of money in the world, you and I cannot predict when we will pass. And that's the full expanse of
Yeah,
Calcutta?
that's one of the aerial views of the place.
Beautiful.
And when this was taken, must have been at least 8 years ago.
Hmm.
It's far greener, far better today than what you see here.
And you started building this since what, early 90s?
I started to buy the land in 1989,
Hmm.
36 years.
Hmm. What was Gurgaon back then?
Well, this place was a piece of brown earth because back in the day, rains, monsoons did the irrigation and the harvests and the agriculture. And then the rains reduced.
You were a businessman. Not people know that you were the highest income taxpayer in a country in the 80s, and especially where, for whatever reason, socialist on one side and extremely corrupt on the other side. And over there, that point in time, comes this man, like a pretty much like a falcon out, and the highest taxpayer on record when at the age of 28. Same time, at that age where people are figuring out themselves in a socialist country where everything was rationed out, right? No hand-me-down wealth. So, sorry, I'm getting goosebumps just listening to this story.
That's the mother.
Yeah, matlab, I'm telling you, more you talk mothers and motherhood, bas unke samne jhuki jao, I tell you, seriously.
That's the source of my energy in that.
Beautiful. So, she was that anchor, I would say, person in your life who shaped you in becoming who you are. And of course,
forgiveness, inclusiveness, acceptance. She was the epitome of all three.
So you got into a different business at that point in time? How did you become that infamous highest taxpayer at the age of 28? What was your business at that point in time?
Let's go back.
Hanji.
When I'm in school, it's an English medium school, and the teachers.
Unfortunately, you've seen some series of personal tragedies. It started with your brother. How does a 23-year-old boy process that? Because brothers are brothers, thick, right? Nurtured by that mother who is an angel lady by herself. I can't even begin because I'm the younger brother. I have an older brother, right? And my love for him. How does one process this? I mean, what changes in you?
See, by the time I was 23, I was just drowned in work. At 21, I joined full-time work. I was still in college, second year. And I stopped going regularly to college. And the best part was, when in jail, I'd get Sadhguru calling twice a week. Hey, are you having fun out there? Make the best of it.
Oh, you knew him from there? Oh,
I
wow,
knew him
beautiful.
before, one-on-one. He gave no sympathy at all. He just had a banter at me. Whenever he would call, he said, you make the best of it. This is the best time for you to learn your life lessons and become strong.
Was your mother still around?
Yes. They were devastated. The parents were broken. Sister was broken. I had a party. Believe you me, I just scaled up my yoga and meditation during those days.
Ashwini, tell me something. Do you believe in so-called destiny, or it's predestined, or it's preordained, or ye fate hai? How do you process all these complex emotions, belief system?
I don't put much of my mind to it, but few words that are a part of me. One is acceptance. What else do I have a choice about? If it's happened, accept it.
And
put your pieces together, get up and run the race again, the race of life.
And do you think both your ex-partners, are they still alive?
they would both want to come back.
Okay.
But I'm very happy now.
That's okay.
I have a lovely partner now.
When did this concept of the lakeland come about, right? It's like brown earth, green earth, beautiful earth. I wouldn't call it a template, but unimaginable beauty. I would explain it like that. Calming beauty. You just feel good. Just looking at this plant, you feel good here. No honking. ये क्या लेगो के जैसे piece by piece हुआ है या एक vision था उसके बाद piece by piece हुआ है?
Karma Lakelands is a very unique story of the cart before the horse.
Of the cart before the horse, okay?
You know, the land was bought. You know, the Gulf is the most beautiful landscape.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
And you see so much of birds, bees,
It is a bird sanctuary, masquerading as a bird sanctuary.
Can you imagine? Yesterday we completed the count, 120 different bird species here at 270 acres of
Absolutely.
Karma.
So Akash is a dear friend, right? You know Akash very well. And he said the same thing. He's published a book on the DLF golf course that बहुत ये golf course तो sports वालों के लिए. It's a bird sanctuary. And he's published this behind, gave it to me. And when I was reading through it, I said, unbelievable. It's like living flora, fauna happening.
It's biodiversity. And
Yeah,
it's best.
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Assume someone who's in Bombay, he will kind of think about it and say, ये Karma Lakeland golf है. ना, ये masquerade, ये golf नहीं है.
और
ये beekeeping हो रहा है इधर.
हाँ,
Right?
Yes.
ये bird sanctuary है.
जी.
Right? ये oasis है एक.
Yes.
Right?
5 forest zones.
Correct. Every produce is here, including the ISH with you.
Your children from ISH.
Correct.
Edible flowers.
हाँ जी.
Organic vegetable growing. The ISH kitchen waste.
Correct. Comes over
The
here.
vehicle brings it here.
Yeah.
Those who don't choose to come and work, we're sending our bees out there to pollinate their plants and make them get
This
happier.
whole
Yes.
bee, no, Ashwini, we can't talk about bees. ये आप समझाओ, because it is mind-boggling what you're doing with the bees. Can you break it down, please? I think my viewers would appreciate it. We have information, but we don't have the science behind what really happens, right? Tell me what you're doing with this whole bee, because it's mind-boggling for me.
You know, what happened is the realization that human life, any kind of life on this planet, would vanish within 4 years of bees being taken off.
I'm going to ask you maybe something which I don't understand, and hopefully my viewers may forgive me for my lack of understanding of this. मैं इतना intelligent नहीं हूँ. If I take a higher orbit view of Gurgaon, Aravali is on one side, but when you look at this area, there's this literally 300 acres of what you have created. Pretty much hot. अगर ये नहीं होता, rainfall deficit होता यहाँ?
Definitely kuch to hota. See, while we are a biodiversity, with a golf course sitting in the heart, you'd be surprised to know.
Talk to me the difference between AQI and that CO2. Oh, fascinating.
There's a huge compromise on human health because of lack of awareness on one major aspect of air that I've learned in these last 8-10 years of my research on the subject. Now, what happens is 50% of the syllabus is the aspect of air quality index. The other 50% nobody talks, nobody addresses, which is measured as CO2, the oxygen levels, especially indoors. Oxygen levels indoors are measured as CO2, and there are monitors which I use.
I
Very
carry it with
inexpensive.
me. Yeah.
मैं सारे staff को देता हूँ, and we are walking that talk. Each one of you do a simple bending exercise at least once in a day. Bend your back bend your ego, pick up any piece of garbage and put it in the bin.
क्या बात है.
At least once a
Bend
day.
your ego.
Whether you're the vice president of the company or bottom of the ladder or my 3-year-old granddaughter, you all have to do it. Your soul, your
Correct.
conscience will feel so good about doing
Correct.
something for which nobody's appreciating. Your salary or business profits are not going up, but you feel so good about it.
We cannot. The best thing in life is free.
And because you're going to start to enjoy this thing that's coming for free, you'll not stop at once. The 7 words that are very sacred to me are what? Clean, green, serene, responsible. Sights, sounds and smells. These are the 7
और
words.
ये सब फ्री में आता है. मैं फिर कह रहा हूँ.
सारे
Best things in life is free.
आप साइट साउंड स्मेल्स को ठीक रखोगे, आप अपने आप एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट हो.
True.
एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट साइट को ठीक रखता है, कूड़ा नहीं फेंकता है, हरा भरा बनाता है.
और इसको ज़्यादा सोचने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. And I've known you for far many years right now. We've had ping conversations. You've been, of course, to ISH. And if I had to tell your story, genuinely, even from this podcast or perhaps at a later date, I would say multiple things. I would say you were unapologetic. You were unapologetic about the fact that who you are and where you come from. You lived your life through, of course.
Oh, Sandeep Singla, my beautiful Zarohi. Sandeep's story connects grief with endurance in a very, very powerful way. Ultramarathoner, father, he spoke about how discipline, routine, mental strength carries people through loss. What stayed with me was how resilience grows quietly through consistency. If you're interested in human endurance and inner strength, this episode is deeply grounding. Zarohi, I love you.
So she was born, obviously very happy, but sort of the first week of her birth, we realized that she's quite yellow. And I think normally it's because of jaundice. So we consulted with the doctors. She was born in Singapore. We used to live there. And the doctors were like, look, it's regular jaundice. It should go in sort of a couple of days. And we were like, okay. But it didn't really disappear. Yeah? Sort of 2-3 weeks happened and the jaundice continued to be there. After sort of Jan, Feb, doctors like, look, we think we need to go for a liver transplant. Kasai procedure is not going to help. And I think that's when you start getting a bit scared. Yeah.
But at until that point in time, was there hope between you and Neha?
There was always hope.
There
I
was
think even until last day, we were quite hopeful. I'm quite optimistic as an individual. So is Neha. So the whole idea of losing your child never came to us. I think this is more about, why do we have to go through this hardship kind of thing, right? Now we had a situation, I have been a donor, I cannot be a donor. My wife's liver is not a match. So we put an advertisement in the newspaper. And this is where the love of humanity comes in.
Wow.
Right? You won't believe, Kunal, I had more than 10,000 strangers showing up.
Are you serious?
In NUH saying, take my liver. I'll tell you 2 stories. Yeah. And this is where Zarohi's purpose comes in.
I'm betting you. She came in for a reason there.
So one guy, an old Indian origin uncle, came to us. He runs a tires manufacturing company in Singapore. I did. Because, look, grief is one thing. You lose your kid, that's okay. It's not okay, but it sort of gives you grief, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of time with grief comes guilt. And I think that guilt killed me somewhere. And I'll explain why the guilt. Yeah.
I know what you're trying to say, but
So for me, when Zarohi was born, or even before she was born, I think you can imagine, I'm going to stereotype a bit. people from India are not the healthiest people in the world. Yeah. We have a rich diet. We don't really believe in exercise in the younger days. So our body work is all over, right? So in a way, I was unhealthy. Yeah. I think I would probably say my liver wasn't fatty, but it wasn't the most healthiest one, right? I wish I had brought that picture, So this is back in 2020. We were in Netherlands that time. And I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, man.
You were looking at yourself in the mirror the previous day and the previous year as well when you were depressed. But this
how
one
somehow comes in, right?
Okay.
So I think pandemic actually helps. Yeah. Because you have no other choice just to look at yourself, right?
True.
So this was June 2020, June 4th, if I remember it clearly. I have it on my Strava, right?
Your community knows you today. What the world does not know you is you're an ultra marathoner now, and you do not only ultra but those toughest endurance races around the world. संदीप कहाँ से आया है यार? ये क्या हुआ?
I think
Did it have to? It was always within you, but then you got this reason, right?
yeah. So
From 54 kilometers to 250 kilometers.
I think it was. I'll tell you two stories. One, a funny one about hallucination, and one which explains why you need a mind. Right, let's start with the funny one bit. Hallucinations are real. There's a difference between a wall and a hallucination. So wall happens when your body starts giving up, right? So this is normally happens around 30 kilometers.
For everyone? For all runners?
Pretty much all runners.
Okay.
So if you're running short distances, by short I mean 42 kilometers, you will hit a wall at 30, 32, where your body will just give up, right? And then you need your mind to push your body to run, right? If you're running ultra, when I visit my grandfather's place to our ancestral village, it's called Wetterhen, they welcome me saying Shada Munda hai, right? And then they talk about his legacy, what he's done. And my identity is that I'm his grandson, right? And that ignited a spark, Kunal, right? To say, look, if I have 20 years to live, I want to live life free.
I want to tell my story.
I want to tell my story. I want to live it unapologetically, where, when I die, whenever the time is right, I don't want people to think my story as someone who lived with grief. Probably there's a bit of correlation that, for us, we all are searching for something. We all are sort of, trying to have a bit of fun in the life and not take running as a physically or mentally demanding activity. It's more an outlet. So perhaps there's a bit of Lal Singh Chadha in me.
There are people listening to you who may be suffering from depression, but suffering in silence. We can't tell. The taboo still exists. There are people out there who are maybe stuck in a job which they hate, in a relationship which they hate. There are people out there who just who have the motivation, but motivation, as they say, is like, the cadence is like this. It's not that concept because that comes with discipline.
The Nestle playbook. Oh, 4 amazing people. This conversation explored how great consumer companies think across decades. What stayed with me was the obsession with people, consistency, and honest everyday execution. Great brands earn trust slowly and protect it fiercely. If you build teams, product, institution, this episode sharpens how you think about long-term brand and brand stewardship.
dive right in, Reinhold, with you. More than 3 decades at Nestle. When you look at India from the outside in perspective, of course, do you believe from a food service perspective, had we reached there yet? And if we have reached there yet, when I look at the entire food and beverage industry, I think we are third largest in the world, right? By pretty much by volume and scale. Or is it, in your opinion, my follow-up question is that India is a story waiting to be told louder? Are we there yet?
I think part of the answer is what you've mentioned while starting our discussion.
Yarun, I needed to ask you this question, and it's very fascinating. You are looking at Africa and you're looking at Asia, and I'm more interested in Asia, China.
Yeah.
Right? And you've been in Nestle for over 2.5 decades. That's a separate story altogether, right? But the fact is, India today is perhaps where China was a decade and a half ago, right? Mm-hmm. What changes do you see? You have seen China evolve from a 5,000 per capita to, let's say, 10,000. India is the 4th largest economy right now. What changes would you see in consumerism when we go from, let's say, 4,000 to 10,000? I'm just kidding, because you saw that happening in China.
So, yeah, and I'm always a bit hesitant to say it. Again, I don't know if that's, but, India is the new
China. But the toughest job is Saurabh's, and I'll tell you why, right? And I'll tell you why, Saurabh, according to me, from an outside-in perspective. You are a veteran in consumer goods and everything. Everything changes with the pin code here. It's so multi-layered. It's still a sachet economy. You see what I'm saying? How do you manage a global player and in this constantly evolving, vibrant, yet complex and layered market?
I think the beauty of India is really in the old cliche, and food service and food is no different. Huh? They say there is unity in diversity.
Yeah.
Right. So there is a unified India.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there is a diverse India.
Yeah.
We have, I don't know, even I was just reviewing coastal cuisine, for example.
Yeah.
There are 30 regional cuisines in that 7,500 kilometers of coastline.
The peninsula India.
Nestle is much more than a company.
Yeah.
And I'm not advertising Nestle over here. I'm talking about my 2.5 decades, nearly 2.5 decades of being at Nestle. Nestle is an institution.
Yeah, from an outside-in perspective, I can tell you for a fact, and let me take you back 3-4 decades, right? That has been a bellwether company for consumer goods.
Yeah.
For the longest time, and consumer, for the longest time, from an FMCG perspective, from a consumer, for the longest time, and consistently been the same. There are just handful companies in the world have these domineering kind of a presence. Yeah. Would you agree?
I react to the word domineering because it has a bit of a negative touch to me, and we don't dominate by and large. We also never dominate in the business. We are strong.
Let me rephrase it: influencing company.
No, and the last thing I would want to leave as an impression that I would criticize.
It's okay.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's just I make a differentiation.
Tell me something. You've been with Nestle for the longest time, right? There is this narrative going around in the world about the fact, at least with this generation which we have, and the earlier generation as well, that loyalty is overstated, right? And here you are, you have grown through the ranks, 3 decades, global president, global head of Nestle. What would you tell them?
I can tell you why this is, for me, not difficult, because the values of that organization and the values...
You often have to look ahead in the lens, right? And start working today about the food service trends that you will be seeing in the next 3-4 years, right? R&D takes that kind of a long time. You're not going to put any product out there unless you're absolutely sure, right? Locally it serves, and it can also become a global product. What are the 2 or 3 food service trends do you see in the future today?
So and maybe I'll ask Sarab, you will talk for me, but I think the digitalization is absolutely key. The whole way of working. I mean, it's important for us. It's crucial for us, but it's also the way we work with the operators and the interconnectivity, the integrated end-to-end way of working, and the whole digitalization of that.
Sorry, so I was just coming in on your prompt when you look at people like that, is when these people look at social media, when they look at pop culture, and I can see them nearly smiling. There are a lot of trends. There are some trends which will become real trends, and then there are certain fads, right? As companies, as industry, as institutes, as educational enterprises, we need to be agile enough to capitalize on both. We need to capitalize on the fads, and we need to take cognizance of the trends. That's the only way the ecosystem is going to...
So what are those trends, Saurabh? What are, at least in the Indian context, what are those trends that you're seeing?
So one very, very big trend that I'm seeing, and like I'm coming from the unity and diversity kind of thing, is that we all love global cuisine, but at the end of the day, we want to gravitate to our comfort food.
True.
We want to gravitate to our own...
Saurabh has elucidated in terms of what the food trends would be. Now, when you look at culinary schools all over the world, right, including the one that you're kind of looking at, T.A.L.K as India, what would you tell us in terms of, as a suggestion, that although we are in sync with the industry, because we believe that the industry is our primary customer.
Of course.
It's only after we believe that the industry is our primary customer, we take everything back into whatever we do, curriculum, technique, how we teach, every aspect of it, right? Because industry is the primary customer. But what would you tell, or what advice would you give institutions like us? Where should we be heading, and what differently should we be doing? All the more reason in the Indian context, right? You need to pay it forward, as you rightly said, is because going back is India is today where perhaps China was 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So what we know is we have the playbook of what not to do. But we also know when we are going from 4,000 per capita to, let's say, 10,000 per capita, at the end of the day, if any industry has ever thrived in the history of this world, it has always participated in academia. In the history of the world. Today, India is a net tech exporter for the simple reason, for 2 decades, the industry participated inside the classroom.
Great example.
So even from a food service, if not anything, at least about 4 to 5 million Indians, including the live audience listening to you, right?
That's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure. But you said he's pressure and pain both, right? Okay. Pressure of imposition of will. And you gotta be very careful what you're saying right now, all right? Otherwise you'll be trolled. No, I'm just kidding. But the fact is, what would you tell them? What would you tell them? Why should they be embracing this particular sector, this entire food service? And I believe that, you know what I truly believe? You could be working for Nestle. Somebody could be a doctor, in your case, your father. And let's say your child could be a lawyer. But all of you will spend in hospitality. All of you. Global head. You've grown through the ranks. You've seen it all. You've seen it all throughout the world. You've worked with crazy number of presidents, CEOs in countries, globally as well. What are the 2 or 3 things that have kind of stuck with you, which I would say is uncompromisable for you from a leadership perspective?
That's a very good question. I think one thing for everyone, when you look in the mirror, you got to be sure that you be yourself. You cannot be. You should not compare. You got to be.
From this perspective, it's a thesis, right? Not necessarily it's proven thesis, but it's a thesis. Do you think a good leader has always to be a good father and a good husband and a good person?
Oh, absolutely. I think the basic tenet of being a good leader is to be a decent human being. I think that's where it starts. If you cannot be, and I may be, this is my personal assessment. If you're not a decent human being, if you're not a decent husband, if you're not a decent father, if you're not a decent son in the context of our Indian society, I do not think you have what it takes to be a good leader. It does not. You do not have the.
Absolutely. I'll just wrap it up with a story. True story. No names. 20 years ago, I was part of this franchise business. I had many franchise partners. I hope you enjoyed this session as much as it was enriching for me. And my learning, both at a Nestle level, but more importantly, at a leadership level, which I knew beforehand, but it just reaffirmed my belief that leadership is that continuous work in progress, and it's about perseverance, stretched over a period of time. And as sort of rightly said, you just need to be a good human being. It's human being serving another human being. How difficult can it be, right? Thank you so much for your time. Salam, namaste, sat sri akal, adab. Yuvraj, to all of you, UV to his colleagues, he's a brother. Yuvraj brought clarity to how leaders think about work, performance, life balance. We spoke about what sustainable careers actually look in demanding environments. What stayed with me was the importance of boundaries, energy management, and intentional career design. So if you're navigating leadership pressure, this episode offers practical perspectives to all of you.
But there are certain things which changes after every 5 or 10 years. And that's something what we need to really be very, very careful about. And if I have to talk about this, in 2000 when I started my career, I think HR was very focused on more driven by the manufacturing sector, right? And when you say manufacturing sector, what used to happen is that there's a policy, there's a law, there's an applicability of it, there are people who are supposed to be affected. And more or less in the whole country and everywhere, HR used to get governed by that aspect. So, labor, union, management and all that. To 2019-20, startups, 2015-16 if you say, startup world, talent war, how you look at talent, how you hire them, how you train them, how you spread your net in terms of a talent catchment away from the only larger cities to smaller cities. Looking at the compensations which are far more fungible, also cafeteria menu based, all that flexibility in the process started coming in. And if you look at the similar trends, if you look at 2030, 2035, I would see few things, right? Development of people. I worked for the Oberoi, New Delhi for 4.5 years, right? Hospitality HR would be very different.
Because it's linear?
No, because it's very customer centric. It's far more customer centric, and also it values a skill more than anything else. Behavior and values, right? I remember if somebody is in a kitchen, right? For the person, it's not important that how good English you are speaking, right? How good you are cooking in the kitchen and presenting to the guest is far more important. So the skills, and then the front office, in front of the guest, how you are behaving and conducting, right? So those are behavioral and functional skills, far critical and important in the hospitality industry.
2030, 2032, of course, sociology, empathy, those things kind of remain. But what in this process of change, how will HR drastically change itself to align with that? What do you think? Would it be people? Would it be structure? Would it be process? What would it be, in your opinion?
For me,
Because we are living in it right now.
So I understood. I think that, there are three important elements for HR functions to be effective. One is structure of the organization. Second is mindset.
If I am a student listening in, right, Make My Trip has been that great place to work, one of the most aspirational organizations today in India, right?
Yeah.
Consistently over a period of time. What should I be building upon myself when I listen to you that I have a crack at being one of the associates, members, teams, partners, whatever you may want to call it, at Make My Trip?
I think let me not restrict it to Make My Trip, right?
Okay.
I think let me just talk in terms of my experience, right? Gather some knowledge. And fourth and fifth would be that communicate effectively. And when I'm saying communicate effectively is not you need to be great in terms of
super efficient in your English.
In your English. I think that you should be able to, express your ideas and thought in whichever language you feel is right for you, but the clarity of thought should come in. When you go to civil services, people get hired for civil services. There are people who appear in Hindi, there are people who appear in English, there are people who appear in different languages, but they are hiring them based on the talent and
the clarity of thought in the language which they speak.
Absolutely. And these folks from Punjab, a person can go to Tamil Nadu cadre and learn Tamil and speak.
I need to ask you this question. Your first leadership orientation was of course the armed forces, right? And that's what truly, perhaps from the boy to the man that you kind of became, and that stayed with you even at this age. When I look at armed forces, and when I look at certain different organizations in India, many, not all, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the commandants and the senior person is also in charge of training. And he has the same high table, right? As much as, let's say, another commandant of, let's say, an op unit or some other combat unit would be, right? So Army gives its training. So it is a CEO-led.
So it's a question with the leadership of the organization or with the individual,
So
right?
is that a people-driven culture, or do you think?
I think any sensible organization which is growing, fast growing,
will identify this as a most
will
important.
Always value this. And in certain cases, people may treat it as an administrative function, but the fact is, it is not to do with the function as such. Some countries are run well, some countries are not run well. Some states are run better than some other states. It's not about the states having any problem. It's a question of who
high stake, what you're trying to say, the high stake people right on top can define that culture. And the ones who have, but HR also carries these it heavy lifts a lot of aspects, right? Emotions, people. At the end of the day, if you look at it from that perspective, it's human beings at the end of it. Tell me something. If I have to little unpeel your own personality, Yuvraj, how do you deal with letting go of people? How do you deal with sometimes, business demands certain exigencies, demands certain, let's say, layoff happening, and not necessarily layoff in terms of trimming, layoff in terms of, hey, you're not, despite all those kind of things. Personally, it's very difficult for me, even today.
I think that you'll be able to do
But most of the times when the decisions are coming to you as a CHRO, essentially it is a complex problem, and you have to choose between two rights or two wrongs. And it's never the right decision, right? If I had to ask you, and as much as the segmentation that you kind of spoke about, but sometimes do you carry that weight with you back home, saying that, you know what, this is something which...
Personally, I think that I have been able to manage it well.
Is it because you're an army person?
Not only army person, maybe I have never taken stress back home. I think that I've had a very happy, it can be your friend, it can be anybody who has got nothing to do with you. So I think that talk to people. So I spend 2 hours going down to Noida every day, coming in the morning 2 hours in the car every day,
these 4 hours with me are my own time, and I'll do a lot of conversations. If I have a dilemma about a decision making, I would talk to somebody whom I believe, and you will find that ideas, suggestions can
come from all quarters,
come from anywhere, and it can strike you. It can come from a small kid of yours who can also tell you why you're so hassled. I think finally it's a job, or finally it's something, one decision out of 100. So I think it's important for you to really wire yourself in those days.
I'm going to put you in a spotlight right now. People who I know in Make My Trip, right? Pretty much top down, everyone says super good things about you.
About me?
About you.
Yeah. I don't know. I think who all of
you need to ask outsiders, including one of your founders.
Thanks to all of them,
What is it? How did you become this man that you have become? I'll tell you what they say. Rational thought, rational person, calm person. What they also say about
ownership, accountability, working as you are working. I tell people many times that the policies for this travel, that travel needs to be improved, needs to be decreased. I say that you go and do everything. In Make My Trip, all the policies are guidelines. These policies are not cast in stone.
Because there's
you spend money of the organization the way you will spend your own money. And if you feel this is what it is right, I think that managers are empowered to really allow you to do what is right. So I think that how do you create an environment of trust? And as you said rightly, how can you really be far higher in terms of your ownership and accountability drives? And that's perfect.
You have a 20-year-old listening to you right now, and you have a 24-year-old. One is an undergraduate. I really appreciate. Thank you so much.
Great talking to you.
For this lovely 1.5 hour session. I think, and I genuinely say it, Yuvi, is I love a good intellectual conversation. And you are that person. You are that person offline as well. You are that person online as well. And may God give you more strength, more success, more happiness, more joy, good health. MMT, in my opinion, is that एक होता था ना नवरत्न कंपनी, ये आपके प्राइवेट वाले में नवरत्न कंपनी.
Thank you so much for the kind words, Kunal, and I think thanks for inviting me.
Keshav Suri, Keshav's conversation carried courage and carried conviction. We spoke about identity, leadership, and more importantly, institutional change. What stayed with me was his willingness to engage systems with dignity and persistence. So if you care about inclusion, leadership responsibility, social progress, this episode challenges all assumptions.
Camera sab dekhta hai, and I'll tell you why. Because how many people do you know have forced constitutional change in India?
No.
Forget what you have done with 377.
No.
How many people do you know personally have forced constitutional change in India after the British left India?
You're too kind. You're too kind.
But on fact check, how many people?
But on fact check, I have to say that there was a big movement that was already started. Originally, it was started by NAS Foundation,
of course,
by Anjali Gopalan, and they are the ones who filed the first petitions. The first reading down of Section 377 happened in 2009 by the High Court.
And the next 30, 40 years, they say that this next 100 years of 30 years or 40 years belong to India, right? China has seen its bit. There will be so many such occasions which will come forward where, those archaic pre-colonial era laws will have to be repealed, have to be questioned in the public domain. And I think it's for the next 30 to 50 years, anyone who either traverses through India or is born in India is going to be born in this golden era.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yes.
Foundations, at least of the 377, bunch of you people, you as well, have changed
as my husband to think of my life with another man, whatever gender I am was always natural. I never found that I was doing anything
Which was out of the ordinary.
Out of the ordinary. And I didn't need to get a hormone test done. And because I didn't feel that I need to explain this. That was for me. For me, it was always put yourselves in the shoes of somebody gay, of somebody lesbian. Years they've been told something's wrong with you. Years they've been told there's a hormonal imbalance. Years they've been told, oh, you've been nurtured this way because why? Imagine for me also, or you had women raise you, so you become gay. I've also had that.
You know, everybody hears this.
And I've heard this too. And so, so imagine that. Imagine that you're also told that you can't be much. And then when the law says that you are criminals for love, for just having the basic nature of love.
To the point, Keshav, is there has to be more conversations around this.
Kunal, and I want you to do that because you have a platform.
Yeah.
I am one of many. You have to be able to go take this conversation to many more people.
Yeah.
And I of course am very happy to put you in touch with a lot of the people in my network. But I think you know enough.
Yeah.
You know enough and more. And let everybody, because see, I can't be a spokesperson of maybe even factually I'm incorrect in so many things, you know. And one person can't be a spokesperson for a community that is
For sure. But that one person is the movement.
So Kunal, I have to, you're really being too kind to me. But I'll tell you a little bit from my perspective. When I joined in, I have to call myself out in a couple of things. At the end of the day, I am a Nepo baby. Yes. I have to accept that.
What is a Nepo baby?
Whatever.
No.
See, I've been born into privilege. I've also benefited a lot by my parents, who they were. I benefited a lot by
Did you choose it?
bringing them to. No, I didn't choose it.
Nobody chose it, right? You were born. 1 second. I also know a lot of people who were born in billionaire families and have done nothing. But you choose.
But all thriving, be it in front office, security, housekeeping, and general managers. Walking a catwalk that is the Lalit now, because we've revealed the catwalk.
So can I ask you a question? Because if you don't like compliments, can you name me one other sector where all this is happening? Oh, because you don't like compliments.
Stop it.
No, seriously.
No, there are a lot of people who have done a lot of good work on this. Godrej has done a lot of good work.
Fantastic.
I have to give Godrej company.
See, my ignorance, right? Now you're telling me Godrej. What else? All I'm trying to say is, the more you're going to do it, let people see it. 1.5 million people will see this podcast.
But those dining table conversations are they technically what made us.
That is conditioning happening from at a very young age, and the conditioning, at least in the families, I'd like to believe, like even including my family, create to make an impact for India. Create whatever is it that you're creating, make an impact for India. Every time you put in, I like to believe, look at an ISS, it's not as big as your empire, right? But the fact is, directly, indirectly, 1,000 people benefit from it. And if I generally say that,
and that we're not in the shadows, we're not fringe people. This is exactly why when we talked about 377 or even further equalities to eventually one day have same-sex marriage, because you can't tell a community that we see you, you're not criminals, but you are nothing beyond that either. We have to tell everybody we're not on the fringes. We are thriving. We contribute. We contribute to nation building. We contribute to the world building. And we exist in every molecule that exists in whatever you want to call nature or this planet. But for me, it was very important for people to see that. But if the future generations of the of the students in these schools were taught that, were songs, that how much more impact that would make.
I'm so with you on that. Kishore, tell me something. Think 1.5 billion Indians are listening to you today.
Yeah.
There is that child out there.
Yeah.
Right? Living in fear. For whatever reason. Right? He's unable to tell his parents. He's unable to tell his friends.
Yeah.
And what would you like to tell that parent? Because the fact, go back to what you've said, you were born in a very progressive family. I wouldn't say a privileged family, but a very progressive family. You may not have...
I would say yes, you're right. It got amplified in a much bigger way after 2018. And yes, a lot of the community felt they can breathe. And therefore, because they could breathe, they can then now work on so many other things that they needed to work on. But yes, to be honest, Kidisu was created for that.
Correct.
That we all found a safe space to find a tribe together. So many people were born out of Kidisu. So many artists, Sushant Dipkikar, Rani Kohinoor was millions and millions of followers. But they found their tribe there. They found to be able to also collaborate together. I want to give you an example for people that come from purely feminine energy homes to know how successful, because again, the function is the same of love.
Correct.
And we're not afraid of talking about our feelings. I want to be able to be that safe space. It has to go beyond me. This conversation, this movement, this thing, I have to let it go beyond me. But let also it be a reminder that gay men, lesbian women can get married, that they can define family. They can be family. That they should not.
Santosh Kumar, absolute delight. He gave insight into how platforms reshape consumer behavior in travel. We spoke about trust, digital discovery, and how tech influences choice. What stayed with me was how quietly platforms shape everyday decision making. So if you're interested in tech, consumer behavior, and marketplace dynamics, this episode brings sharp clarity.
I am a curious person, as you know. And from that perspective, I really wanted him to come on this podcast. It's been at least about 6 months because of the conflicting schedule between, largely on his account because he travels so much. Without further ado, and I don't want to give it up too much, my guest today is Santosh Kumar. He's the country manager, India subcontinent for Booking.com. Santosh.
Thank you so much, Kunal, for having me. It's a pleasure. And guilty as charged.
Guilty.
I know, I would have loved to have done this sooner. But also because I'm a huge fan of the medium in general. I think podcasting and what it's done in general for the digital consumption. That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned a brother, older, younger?
Younger brother.
Yeah.
He's in the legal profession.
Oh, he's in the legal profession. So you took after your...
That's right.
Yeah. And are they based out of Bangalore?
Very much so.
All three of them right now in Bangalore?
They're all in Bangalore. Yes.
Beautiful. In the 90s or the 2000s when you were in Bangalore, growing up in Bangalore vis-a-vis, let's say, a kid growing up in Bombay, and now, of course, you look at Delhi, what differences did you see or did you observe?
Look, I mean, I can't comment as much as I travel now, Kunal. The first 20 years of my life,
you didn't travel much.
I did not travel as much.
Because you just want to ensure that all the liability turns into either you neutralize it
100%,
or you don't need to carry those kinds of regrets. But
100%.
Yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, the initial life is all about that grind and regrets. And I'm a product of, I won't say regret, but tremendous, I hate that word failure, but fall, I would say. I love it. Even today, at this age,
I know this. If there is something which is, how do I say, extremely a difficult task or a situation, and I know I'm not going to succeed at it, you got my 100% attention. I'm one of those guys that say, I will make it happen. I don't know whether I will be successful. I don't care. Right? Because success for me, relative, subjective, chhod do sab.
Yeah. Because, with a population like ours, it's also natural, right? You're a parent today, you want to ensure that you're giving your kid the best shot at success.
But more power to your parents as well for two reasons. Both TAMMs.
Yes.
Right? Education is right at that priority. Having sports to support education. And then, of course, you having your own latitude to choose whatever you chose.
Yes.
I think crazy. I always say strong parents raise strong children.
Yes. No, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's by strength, I mean the mental fortitude.
Yeah.
They don't allow their children to fall. That mama will say, stand up.
Yes.
I haven't raised you for this. Stand up and face.
Yes.
And that's typically that India story.
Those were not things that consulting taught me, right? So therefore, I was always clear that I wanted to get into industry, and therefore that shift via the MBA program.
But this is interesting, and this is especially for the younger audience, right? Because this whole aspect about MBA right now is very overstated the world over. Here you did your master's, Carnegie Mellon, very specialized area, did consulting. 5 years of consulting is a good, especially when you learn about sectors and you go deep into those sectors as well. Coming into India, going into ISB, the best in my opinion, right? We're super intensive. Coming back into this ecosystem of understanding the India right now, the India business, right? The youth aspire.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
India needs to be rich before it grows old.
Yeah.
Period. And that youth, if they can aspire, right, they're going to look at you and say, you know what? I love what he's saying. I can do it. Why can't I dream of that 600,000? Even in India or New York or anywhere in the world, I always say, export yourself. Eventually, you're serving India wherever you are.
That's right. An ideal situation is if you can go out,
Yeah.
learn everything that you can from the best of what the world has to offer.
Yeah.
Right? Also contribute wherever you are. And if you can find a great way to come back to the country, nothing like it, and help India build.
I'll give you one stats, which I heard, secondary sources. Indian diaspora remits about $250 billion.
The office, but making the first sale, going out and knocking on multiple doors, in India, trying to sell a SaaS-based technology solution in a highly operational market like India, not easy to do, right?
Let's just talk about this, and I'll tell you why. Again, this cuts across the audiences who would love to hear from you. Let's trace back. Carnegie Mellon, Masters, Deloitte, ISB, didn't partake in day zero, day one, American Express, an employee, now almost like an executive entrepreneur. And this journey, right from Carnegie Mellon to this, is about 12 to 15 years, I'm assuming.
Yes.
End to end.
Yes.
And you go back to school after you become a CEO and it becomes your first priority. Yeah. So when you're espousing it back, let's say you go back to your alma mater, you're saying, what is it that you will shed off when you're 50? You say, I will shed off everything. I'll only cling on to how to handle people.
Sure.
But when you're in your 30s, you say, okay, you know what? It's not very important for me.
Sure.
Yeah, from that perspective. Beautiful. We spoke about American Express. We spoke about this stint as an executive entrepreneur. What happens next in your life journey?
So what happened next was the pandemic. I had the fortunate experience of, so I reached a certain point in that journey with HRS where I felt, I achieved a certain challenge that I set out. That's essentially what we're trying to do, because we want to take friction out of the travel journey.
Yeah.
Right? Because there is still, when you think about traditional journeys that we all undertake, at some point, if something goes wrong in any part of that journey, it has a cascading effect to everything else, right? The flight is delayed, your car pickup is delayed, correct? Your hotel check-in is delayed, etc., etc.
I want to kind of deep dive into this, and I'll tell you where I'm I want you of course, because you handle the entire Indian subcontinent, Indonesia, and we'll come to these regions separately. But how is that platform even thinking today, right? Largely, you have 4 or 5 billion people on Earth. You would at one day want everyone to use that, and that's maybe we're just a $1 trillion economy. But the fact that there was no discovery, there was no internet, innovation was there, and had it been there, everything would have been in 2005 what we are seeing in 2022, 23. Isn't that right?
Could be. I think that's the natural evolution also of countries, right? When you look at their per capita incomes, their GDPs, etc.
And that's very interesting that you spoke about that per capita. I really want to get that because you have a global lens right now with you, right? Very recently, you also published a statistic about how the global travel is happening, right? Booking.com pioneered that report. Is my understanding correct?
Which particular report?
Was it about global travel?
One is marketing, right? Continue to see how we can pump in more investment.
Pretty much the way South Korea does.
Marketing standpoint in terms of pure financial resources, but also in terms of storytelling.
Correct. The attractiveness of a destination.
The attractiveness, building on the Incredible India campaign, which was fantastic when it came out. What can we do to refresh it? What can we do to make it more current? And how can we,
And this is a collective responsibility. And I think it's
a collective responsibility.
This entire hospitality industry, I would call it. It's everyone's
public-private. Kunal. Public-private, right?
Government has to do its bit. Private has to do its own bit. Right? For our children at the end.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. I think you have to make our cities more repeatable in terms of people wanting to come back again and again, right? When you look at a Singapore, a London, or a Dubai, I'm sure all of us have been there multiple times, right?
But can I tell you, you go to Singapore, you go to a Dubai, and more power to them. Beyond 4, 5, 6 things, there's nothing to do. After 3 days, you're bored. This place, you could be exploring for the next 1 year. And every state, every food, every ingredient, every experience, it'll take a lifetime for you.
Yeah, no, I agree. Storytelling.
And we just need to kind of storytell. Tell me, for Booking.com, where it is, conversation won't be...
Think about it from a demand perspective. In today's world, it's becoming more and more challenging to keep the consumer engaged on a platform, right? And when we think about our funnel, our marketing funnel, right? You start with high intent marketing, right? Or rather, you start with low intent marketing, right? Which is, I'll flip it around, right? You start with low intent, where it's essentially it's about discovery, right? So what we want to do there is, when people think of travel, we want them to think of Booking.com. So what we do there is we do a ton of sponsorships.
Values which are non-negotiable for you.
Look, I think for me, there are 2 or 3 things that I can probably touch on, right? One is, I think, the collaboration and the teamwork, which is there in anything that you do. For me, that's a non-negotiable, because I think it comes from having a very strong background in a team sport. I've seen the power of what you can achieve.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mere pyare Bharatvasiyo, these conversations reminded me that learning never comes from comfort zones. It comes from listening deeply, always curious, and then allowing ideas to change how we see the world. If any of these episodes resonated with you, I encourage you to watch the full episodes. Each conversation carries depth that short clips can never fully capture. Thank you for being part of Season 3. On behalf of my producer and director, Soumyajit, Soumya as we call him, on behalf of Ritesh, my director of photography, right? Thank you so much for the love that you have shown. It truly matters to all of us. I always say, if stuck in life, just keep walking. Just keep walking. Salam, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, and Adab.